those fights that then led them to their kind of anticlimactic control there over Mike and Ike.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting plays. I feel like we weren't able to look at everything that everyone was doing at the same time because there were just so many fights happening. But yeah, we did see good usage of Newcastle's new ultimate being a little bit stronger, and his revive was actually used a lot more. It kind of brought me back to Lifeline peak Lifeline days, you know?
Well, hopefully we'll see Lifeline maybe make its impacts. We know for a fact that the health sustainability isn't quite as strong on Kings Canyon, so who knows? Maybe the perfect opportunity to add Lifeline to the Legend pool, but I don't think many competitive rosters are going to be pulling something like that out here. But we tune in, of course, with a plethora of these squads across the entirety of this game. Mike and Ike started fairly early on, and while they weren't successful in taking away the win, you could see from this rotation all the way out here from the east, they were successful in a plethora of fights as they kind of play this one out from the edge.
Yeah, and we did see Mike and Ike take a lot of KP during this round as well, so that is definitely going to help them out in the overall standings, so it's going to be great for them. And I'm very curious to see how the standings look, because we missed a lot of action because there's just a lot happening in Kings Canyon and you cannot look at all of it at once. So I'm really curious to see how everyone did in terms of KP. I mean, placement, we know who was the top three, so it'll be interesting to see how everything lines up after game number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about teams like Razor here, Nerf, and of course Mike and Ike fighting their way in, but Razor and Nerf holding out right there in some of those buildings, really showing us the impacts of Newcastle themselves and picking up a lot of KP, which is kind of what we're talking about when we say we don't exactly know how that leaderboard is going to fare here. So with all that being said, we're going to be throwing this one back over to Yeso on the desk, and I hear he's got a special little guest to join him.
A very special, though I would say not so little guest joining me on the desk today. I've got T Squared on the show to break things down with me. Tom, it's good to see you, my man. How we doing?
I'm doing well, man. What an exciting day for Apex. We got the new season coming out. We got Series E. And, us, brothers on the desk, right? Brothers from another mother.
Yes, sir. I couldn't agree more. We get Tyson getting a win there in game number 1, testing out the crypto. Of course, we got to see them bringing out over the last couple of weeks. They were trialing the Rampart. And we're going to see those, compositions continue to evolve with all of the changes we're seeing here this season as we take a look at Tyson's stats for this game. They pick up a nice 11 kills in this one, so that's a hearty 23 points for the squad to kick off the day. Tom, I'm really curious to get just your impression, kind of first blush, when you look at the changes coming into this season. What are maybe the 1 or 2 changes that stood out the most to you?
Well, I think when you look at the fact that Maggie's Wrecking Ball is going to be able to knock down the Gibby bubble, which is something I think Cell was probably the first person that I saw tweet that actually on social media. It's pretty surprising to see how much Newcastle got buffed, because he was already a legend that was fairly sturdy, and he was being implemented in ALGS by a handful of different teams, most notably 100 Thieves. And if the pro players are playing with a legend, that they're going to be extremely strong, because there's $2 million on the line at that event. So he's going to continue to see more and more action moving forward. And when you combine that with Watson, who's going to be able to help fortify the situation, you're going to have Crypto, who is going to be able to hit scans in certain situations. I really like this composition that's coming out from Team Tyson. You had a feeling when you saw them set up inside of the building that they're going to be in a really, really good spot going forward. But not only that, just great shots from Z Davis. But going back, I think that Newcastle's going to be very popular. I think that we're going to see some different team fighting compositions. I think Horizon's going to stay fairly popular. Sear's going to stay popular as well. Less Gibraltar, less Caustic, which makes it fairly exciting, because you could basically play whatever you want at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty open. We're going to pull up our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 1, and I think you make a good point. The shots from Z Davis continues to just be a demon with that PK, but we get a look here at Mike and Ike trying to play around that castle wall inside of this building, and I think we get a good look at MJ here playing pretty aggressively with it to just claim so much ground in this building and just absolutely locks this down, because once that castle wall gets completely set up, you can't push through that doorway. So it just means that Mike and Ike have so much safety to sit behind the wall, and then when they're ready to go, they can go for the push, and they get a quick cleanup there on Team Razor.
Yeah, instead of seeing bubble fights, you're going to see shield fights with Newcastle, right? And you're going to see the ultimates going down in a handful of different spots. But it's going to be exciting to see how everybody plays with this skill gap, because Newcastle's being played by a lot of people that haven't maybe necessarily played Newcastle as much, but that's what these players do, is they adjust and they play at a really high level already. They understand what the certain legends do. Sometimes they're put in a situation where, you know, your team will force you to play something that you don't necessarily want to play. So now that Newcastle is out, they're like, all right, well, I'm definitely going to play this. And the way that they're able to execute at this type of high level already on a legend that they probably don't have that much experience goes to show you how exciting of times that we have ahead of us for the current meta of Apex. So I'm really excited that we are playing on Kings Canyon right now. It's awesome to see the not only legend changes, but the weapon changes with the EVA 8. Every gun basically being viable, so many different legends that are going to be viable. We saw a handful of different advantages. Really, where's Lifeline? We need some Lifeline love. I mean, that's realistically, like, the OG legends are kind of out now, like the Wraiths, and really the only one that's stuck around is Watson. Watson's still pretty strong. So you see all these new legends coming out and a lot of love for them. But I want some justice for Pathfinder, some Lifeline players out there. It'd be nice to go and see. But either way, we're still in a great meta for Apex. It's really fun to watch.
I couldn't agree more, and we'll have plenty more to talk about today, whether it's compositions, the weapon changes, the map, and more. We'll be breaking it down all throughout the day. In the meantime, though, Tyson takes a win in Game 1. We're going to head to a quick break right now. When we come back, though, Zephyr and Stella will check out that Mobile 1 leaderboard and get you ready for Game 2.
I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist, I'm never old enough to give a promise.
When the chicken is this crispy and this tasty, it doesn't matter what else is for dinner. Tyson crispy strips are so delicious, they'll be your favorite part of every meal. More crispy chicken, more family faves, more to love. Tyson.
Howdy, howdy, legends. Welcome back to Series E Open Night. Let's jump right in and check out that Mobile 1 leaderboard and see how our teams have fared after Game 1.
Ooh, all right. We see Team Tyson in place number 1 with 23 points, and not far behind is Team Mike and Ike, which we did point out they were getting a lot of KP, and they have 20 points. And Team Nerf, this is where you start to see a bit of a jump. Team Nerf is third with 11 points.
Yeah, not as quite the kind of heavy-handed control we saw out of Team Tyson and Mike and Ike as we start to breach lower and lower down those standings, no matter where some of these teams fell. Remember, for both Moo Monsters and Team Nerf, they were kind of relegated back down to just 2 single rats at the very, very end of play. So it was really their survival that kind of net them the majority of their points due to placement. And it's surprising because we saw some major fights take place between Star to Fight, Razor, FRS, as we tuned in across Kings Canyon there.
Yeah, and a lot of fights also happened early, which is why you see so many teams with so little points, because they got eliminated very early on. And I mean, Elevator Music, when they were a solo player and they got eliminated, they were in 8th place. That is how many teams were surviving till last circle, and that's a lot of teams. I mean, especially in Kings Canyon, you have nowhere to go. There's not a lot of cover, especially in an end zone like that, where you end up in runoff. It's very rough. So
it's tight.
Yeah, and depending on where the circle pulls, I wonder if we're going to be getting a lot of teams surviving up to the final circle like that again, because we had like 10 teams before the final circle started to close.
Yeah, no, it was definitely tight, and I think some of the buildings definitely helped that one set itself up to be as kind of clustered as we saw there. Taking a look at our Legend Select here, doesn't seem like anything has particularly changed as our dropship makes its way through onto Kings Canyon once again into Game 2.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where people go as well, because you see a lot of people dropping early. We do know that Caustic's area does have pretty good high tier loot, especially if you open up the gas canisters, which I guess if people don't leave after looting fast enough, you'll get caught in it. But I mean, who's looting that slowly?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the word slow is in the vocabulary of any of these players. Not just anymore, but at all when it comes to Kings Canyon. Meanwhile, fights already taking place at Caustic's treatment here. B. Borton already finding the knock on the Crows. Remember, this was the fight that took place between them and Motive last time around. Motive coming out on top. That put Vizio down as our first team here in the lobby. For Motive, already losing on Crow. Tua, Trev, they're finding a rotation out and away, taking towards the balloon.
Yeah, but I don't know where they're going to go, because we did see a lot of teams drop here. So there's not going to be a whole lot of space to loot around, which is not going to be great for them. They're not going to be able to take a lot of fights either way that they go. But Vizio now has this entire place to themselves, and they are able to loot. And they do have a Loba. So any other POI that is close by, they are able to suck up the loot from. And they're probably going to be better off in any fight they take early game now.
Yeah, more than happy to see that. For now, taking a look at our zone. This time around, a little bit more open-ended of a finish. Not quite the building cluster that we saw out of Run It, unless it finishes a little bit more towards containment. But this open area does bring up a huge question in my mind. We know for a fact out there towards the southern end of that first zone, so many of the chokes have now been removed. And this is supposed to slow down some of the action or third-party kind of centric things that Kings Canyon used to have in previous iterations. So that's something I personally will really be keeping a watch on as we make our way through this game.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought they were just going to open up different paths so that people didn't have to funnel into specific areas. But now you do have to literally funnel into an area to get through to another area. So if anything, I feel like it's going to cause massive traffic jams where third partying may just happen. It just won't happen from all over the map, just on your particular side of the map. And then it's just going to cause this, like, you know, traffic jam. Lots of teams are going to get stuck going in there. And you're just going to see a lot of loot boxes go through that one little rotation point. But we'll see. I mean, again, this is only day one. Like, it's only been a couple of hours since the season has been live.
The craziest thing is the fact that, so Valkyrie is gutted coming off the back end of all these changes, right? And teams have so quickly dropped the word Valkyrie from their repertoire. They do not care for that legend whatsoever. And at the end of the day, this is forcing something that we haven't seen in a really long time. Teams have to be way more decisive in terms of their movement. When they approach these zones, how and what chokes they choose to play through, they don't have things like the redeploy to work with, or at least very, very few of these rosters have it within their wheelhouse.
Yeah, and it is interesting, too, that the Valkyrie change comes to Apex first on Kings Canyon, because I feel like even with her nerf, she is pretty valid on Kings Canyon, just because everything is a little bit lower. You are able to rotate around these massive mountains pretty easily with Valkyrie's ultimate. So it's an interesting test, because I feel like this doesn't really show how bad her nerf is, because the difference between this map and Storm Point with being able to rotate is so different. So I think you're going to feel her nerf way more on Storm Point here, but that's not until second split.
Yeah, well, teams are already getting ready to just not play her whatsoever. For now, Tyson, coming off the back end of their win, already starting off with some successful knocks there into Trev stacks, following up on what Vizio did not finish here on Caustic Treatment just outside of Market. Joey, a bit of an ordnance, keeping Crucial on that 30 dirty. See if he can line this final knock up onto potentially Crow. Or Tua here, my apologies.
Yeah, we do see elevator music kind of looking at them from the back, trying to hold them out as well, seeing these two teams fighting and chasing each other. They don't want to fully commit here because there haven't been any downs, and they do know that the other team is not fully committed. So it looks like they are opting to rotate back in. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things. I mean, they know that they don't have that many options with rotating, so they may as well just leave now.
And mind you, they have a level of safety to do that, because on this side of the map, the other choke on this mountain has also been removed. I mean, it is just a straight shot alongside Market there. You don't have to worry about anyone kind of coming down from that bunker area to capitalize on you. Meanwhile, though... Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm so sad that that longbow doesn't have a skull piercer on it, because that could do some massive damage.
I still think it could
Oh,
hit.
there's a no reg.
I was going to say the no reg definitely says
No.
otherwise, but we'll see 87 still tap a few heads there from Force What. As we also see a switch literally on Nerf from game 1 to game 2. Force What was playing the Vantage and then gets one whiff of that legend and says, nah, I'm all right. Back towards the Newcastle. Apparently that's working just fine for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, Vantage has just come out, so a lot of people are still learning how to play her. I'm sure maybe for Pro Night, just because there's been another day of practice, we might see some more Vantage plays. But yeah, right now it's a lot of just feeling out how Vantage
just
exists.
so new.
I know.
It's so fresh. I mean, it's almost been like 7 hours.
Yeah, and at least with Newcastle, you know how he works, and you know how Seer and Maggie work, and they actually work really well together as a team, and this is gonna be disgusting. Look at this. So many Seer ultimates on Kings Canyon covering so much ground.
This.
And the G7 Scout here coming out in handy.
No, I was about to say me too. At this point, G7, 30-30, longbow, it all feels the same here. The mid to long range meta is definitely nasty. And
Another
oh my
no
gosh,
reg.
Another no reg.
Unfortunate.
For contested, they won't quite get the shots off as we expected there. You can see that Arc Star is finding its way. Still has the damage available, even if the stick doesn't quite hurt as much. Bit of a stun on the castle wall, but they still find the knocks necessary there. So a good third party sustained by contested. Gotta be careful. We know for a fact we just saw that squad drop below them there.
Yeah, they are very lucky that they are able to finish them off with that R301, because the assault rifle's hipfire spread has been increased, so a slight nerf to that. We do see, speaking of nerfs, we see nerf in an active fight here.
Ooh,
Force does have to back off and heal, which is not great here, but Crummy just pushing, does not care at all, using the Volt here to put down some massive damage. And they do eliminate zero latency.
Meanwhile, though, looks like Moo Monsters are on the other side of this action here, looking to potentially come in and clean up. Now, they've left, I'd say, too much of a gap open for Nerf to kind of reset, get their bearings, and kind of reapproach this fight. Mind you, I'm not quite sure if that's actually tech, but it's just funny, I mean, if that is, to see the name there. Meanwhile, just starting to fight this one out. Push forward here on the side. The battery will come through there, but the flat line still makes short work of Crummy. Now just trying to split apart the rest of that Nerf roster.
And I do want to point out in the feed that elevator music was eliminated as well here. Moo Monsters just absolutely decimating here. Tracking down Nerf, and they don't even have a scan legend here.
I need to see what bolt is on that EVA 8. If that is a blue bolt, it's already too fast. To revert, get rid of. It's bringing me back to season 8 when
I was gonna say, yeah,
the absolute destruction of the EVA 8 was imminent everywhere, and we saw its nerfs. I'm getting the same level of vibes here.
Yeah, I was gonna say we did not need that meta to come back. I did not enjoy that meta.
Meanwhile, Motive, pressured in their own right. Seems like they just cannot catch a break this game. I'm surprised to see them still alive as a full force, but maybe not for long. Breakbound, Crow low there. Damage to follow suit. Tua is fully thirsted, so it is officially a 2v3 there. Really picking that one up.
Yeah, FRS looking really strong here. Not fully pushing, because they do know that this enemy team is going to have to push and figure out their own way, and they have to play defensively, so they are able to stay offensive. But we do see Noxious coming in, and Cage is one of those locations that has been reworked to be more open, which is why you see so many more people coming in here like this. And we do see Paps just absolutely decimating with his R301 and Wingman here, and they do eliminate FRS and Motive here as well.
So the fight that started out between the two is, of course, third-partied in the end. They're bringing us down to 12 squads remaining, just on the cusp of our round 2 close here. For start of fight, they're more than happy to keep their way, or keep themselves out of the way of action. Very top of the map here, set themselves up quite nicely, taking advantage, of course, of that Watson. They're one of the few squads to still be utilizing that Valkyrie, which, as you pointed out earlier, is a little bit more effective, of course, on this map.
Yeah, also they are able to still get rotation scans, and they can still get scans once they are in the air, which is very nice. So she can have that sort of solo play as well. which might be better, honestly, now, because with a whole team, it's easier to shoot her down. So having her deploy...
Very true, yeah.
Yeah, having her deploy solo might be best here, but Vizio holding out this team. Ooh, doing some
Skull
disgusting
Piercer.
damage here with a 30-30.
There's no reason. Please explain to me, why in what world do they think, you know what add-on, the 30-30, who was already impressive in its own right coming off the back end of Season 13 where the wingman was slowly seeing pressure back? Why does it need to see a Skull Piercer of its own? Meanwhile, all that damage sustained from it, Moon Monsters are going to follow up on it, Wrecking Ball out, but it doesn't actually lead to the knock they need. It's going to be the rest of the roster picking up that kill. Hopefully a quick revive there as Mike and Ike are eliminated and Vizio stunned.
Ooh, nice escape here from Sung, but not able to support his team. And there's another third party coming in from Razor, trying to clean up this entire mess, chasing and trying to get the last members of the teams down, and Contested is now eliminated.
It just doesn't seem to follow in any way, and Vizio technically still alive there. You can see just a little bit of remnants of Sung trying to hide away on the cusp of those rocks there. Torcoholics officially eliminated as well here as Razor gets to be that squad that takes advantage of all the spoils here. See if Sung can maybe sneak his way back up, get those banners, and make a quick escape there with the Loba.
I definitely would not trust this at all, especially with the way that Loba's tactical
bracelet.
has been working. Yeah, especially after season resets. Also, he's getting very confident here, taking shots when he should not be exposing his location to the other team that clearly knows that he's still alive. So very risky plays here. But I mean, 9 squads left and he's a solo. What else are you going to do?
Wait this one out for maybe a moment more. We know these teams are more than happy to take fights. Potentially hope that Razor makes a hefty rotation down and you get that split second in the next 30 to maybe capitalize. For now, though, Sung just looking for some knocks. I mean, at the end of the day, picks up some of that potential KP and keeps Vizio competitive. I mean, it's been a bad game 1 and 2 to follow, maybe.
And everyone's looking down at this fight here. Again, Kings Canyon, it is just so open. You're able to see from several POIs away where the fight is happening. And we do see Noxious pushing in to get involved here.
Ooh. Paps there with a fantastic micro drones tactical here. Looking to see if he can follow this one up there. R301 still the beamer that we know and love. That wingman pressuring as well. The habitat going to be potentially putting the nail in the coffin on this one with initially a drop already found there. A good mobile shield there from Newcastle, but I don't think it lasts for much longer.
Now, unfortunately, Revenge Tour was eliminated here, but again, it's Team Tyson coming in to try and clean this up, but I don't think they're going to fully engage knowing that the encounter is over here.
Yeah, they picked up some of the KP themselves there from afar. They put themselves kind of in this low ground crater for the time being, and just going to be putting themselves back. You can see this high ground disparity out there towards the east is starting to pay its price. When we start talking about rotations, especially towards Zone 5, they've got a lot coming towards them. I mean, they're going uphill here in terms of our zone finish.
Yeah, Tyson's kind of in a strange spot right now. They're not really able to move forward and figure out where they're going to go into the next circle. They are getting bombarded by everything that these teams have, but hopefully we can see them rotate in. I mean, we do know that they have a Newcastle who could go to them at any time and provide them cover in the new location, but it's going to be hard to move around when you have so many teams looking at you.
Speaking of teams looking at you, Vizio hopes to not be in the sight lines of anyone here, but I saw some missiles off the back end of that last frame, so I think they're more than capable. Meanwhile, Razor, a fantastic Kraber, one shot to do him in, potentially more to follow here. Kraber back out, just waiting to line that one up.
Yeah, that was a pretty free shot they had there as well, being able to tether here, but they did get the res off, so they need to push and they need to make a decision right now if they're going to go in or not, but they're too separated.
Now, remember last time, Razor were at the culling of, I believe, Mike and Ike out there towards kind of our no-name, and as a result, my apologies, runoff, and as a result, kind of not being decisive is what paid the price and didn't allow them to sustain all the way towards their endgame. Meanwhile, back to Tyson, still kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Dropped Z Davis as a result. This rotation just too difficult. Noxious going to try to take advantage. That Newcastle revive coming through. We'll see if the Wabo combo lands.
He did get the revive off, but it was not enough time for him to get up and defend himself. And we do... Ooh! Okay, we do see Noxious being able to defend here. And Tyson is now eliminated.
Sadly, just taking too much of sustained damage in the midst of all that fight. And, oh gosh, it's a thankful sight to see a redeploy here start a fight, putting themselves more directly in the heat of this action. Just on the low ground below where we saw some of those early fights taking place here. Razor still setting themselves up far and above the rest, currently in, I would say, the best position out of all of these squads.
Yeah, Razor did a great job going back to find themselves a better position. I really wish they had sent on the team because they did have the time, but I guess they decided to play it a little bit more cautiously, which is fine, but hopefully they can secure the KP that they did lose out on, because right now we do see start a fight in an active fight here right below them where this KP should have been theirs.
Ooh, Rolders trying to press forward there, will be punished extremely quickly. Gonna take some time, pull back with a bat. I like that from Aves, though. Make sure they delete the pylon just before they start sending some of those ordinances in.
Oh,
Big break
Razor.
on most of those fences, but meanwhile, Razor apparently ganked or gate kept from behind, taken out and immediately dropped there. Moo monsters sneaking up on them.
Yeah, that was not expected at all. They made the late rotation and they were able to get behind Razor, which was the best position to be in, and now they're eliminated.
I mean, more than happy with that. Now have this high ground position to play into, as all these teams are going to consistently try to fight their way up. For Moo Monsters, they still have a great angle. They even could play all the way up here when we start talking about this next zone. Singularity down, though. They want to start the fight now.
That was a fantastic ult there, but it did get deleted immediately. A great beam by Head there. They are able to get that KP, and they are rocking. So I just want to point out that Head has 9 kills.
I mean, it's a fantastic source of kills, but can they last much longer here? Start a fight, hearing the shots, immediately push up and try to take away this high ground. Only Mini now going to be falling as that thermite ticks through here. Aves, though, and Matt Pickett not looking much better themselves, as this does officially become that 2v2. Tech pulls it off in the very end, but Rollers looking more healthy in the stance of this 1v1. Held able to pull off the last bit of that shield there with the battery. A crack found, but Rollers just as well. The zone forcing them in their head, trying to run this one away, but the longbow on the slide to finish the job.
That was absolutely disgusting. Did not expect him to make that shot with the longbow.
Why is...
Oh no. But then they do get Syracuse out of that res, and it's down to Rolders to survive for his team to start a fight here, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make it. He's playing on the edge of the circle. He is in now, and he's been able to get his own fences out, but he is getting ulted here. And he's going to have to fight this fight, but he is not going to be able to survive, and he does get eliminated in 3rd place, though.
Mind you, bums who have been just lurking below here in the gutters, much akin to their name, now just starting to climb this one up. Mind you, they are a 3-man roster, so technically having that numbers advantage, even though they are on that low ground here. We'll see if Noxious can provide the shots necessary to potentially push them back, or maybe it'll be too much. As it stands right now, it looks like they're doing a good job.
Yeah, they are able to hold their own. Now, unfortunately, this is just going to be a poking battle until one team decides to fully send, because unless they're going to get on the same ground, there's no way that they can actually fully fight here. Broken Evo does end up stunning himself with his own Q here, so they are going to have to play this patiently. I think they're just going to wait for the circle to close, because no one really has to push at the moment.
No, but I still like the fact that Noxious have taken the little bit of high ground that does exist even into this round 6 pull here. So as a 2-man taking advantage, they actually finally level the playing field, and Pop says, we're going to full send it finally here, able to find the cracks necessary. Another drop down, Default on the other side here with that Volt, providing the beams necessary. More than happy to see that one back in play here. A 1v1 and Noxious pulling it off, even though it was 2v3.
I got a little worried there when I saw that they were just using, when Paps was just using the wingman instead of the Arthur one he had. I was like, oh, come on, it's an easy kill right there. But I'm very glad they were to pull that off because they did a great job singling out the one player who kept messing up and peeking.
Yeah. So some of our more misnomer teams coming out here from our open night, providing themselves to be above the rest. Notables like Start a Fight, Razor not quite lasting there in the end, which was a little bit surprising, but hey, anything can happen on Tuesday.
Yeah, we saw so many Newcastles today too, like in match number 2, even more, because we did see some people switch off onto Newcastle, and just the amount of ultimates and shields that were coming out and reses, it was just incredible. It's really cool to see him being utilized more the way that the developers envisioned him being used, but it does end up kind of showing off that, oh, Gibraltar kind of gave you the overall sort of shield. So seeing players have to deal with the fact that it is only directional, it's pretty interesting.
Something that I also find really, really interesting is of the 2 teams that lasted into the top 4, Start a Fight and Bums were the only rosters running the Valkyrie still. And I know teams are very quick to just kind of look at all the changes to Valkyrie and just write her off as this unusable legend. But there is still something to say about its ability to rotate, and in moments like we saw in Game 2, it did provide. It allowed them to push their way onto that high ground. I mean, look back at Tyson. Remember them stuck in the crater, unable to make moves? I bet they would have wished they had a Valkyrie there, even if it's a bit slower, even if it doesn't have the height.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's one of those things where, I mean, Valkyrie has been nerfed, but you can still use her. She is still usable. She is still viable. Not as much as before, but, I mean, if you have to take into account your environment in Kings Canyon, I'm pretty sure she's still fine.
I think she's okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, we'll let, I suppose, Tom and Yeso discuss that one out and see if they have maybe some more analytics to provide here. As for us, we'll be throwing that one to them and on our way to Game 3 shortly.
We obviously will have to talk a bit about Noxious's win in that second game of the day. But, Tom, I do want to take the opportunity to kind of piggyback off of that discussion there because, of course, Valkyrie has been omnipresent in the competitive scene, in ranked as well for such a long time with the range of utility. She provides all of the mobility. She's now seen nerfs in consecutive patches and pretty significant ones here at the start of Season 14. Stella and Zephyr maintaining that she still is viable in certain situations. Where do you kind of stand on the legend in today's meta?
Well, I think that everybody knows what Valkyrie's going to bring to the table, right? And when you already know what she's going to bring, plus she gets nerfed, then I think it's time to just kind of try new things. And what better day than day one? Sure. Because you don't want to kind of get left behind. And I think that's why all the players are interested in trying out all these different compositions, right? So you have, this composition, which is very fight heavy, and just the way that Noxious was able to slap them. Can we bring that up though? Just like 2v3, taking the high ground. Once you miss a couple shots right there, they realize like, hey, this team is not hitting their shots. Let's go down and just full send on them.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. And I think part of the reasoning there, and Sella talked about it, team gets kind of stuck in a bad spot and you're thinking, man, we'd really love Valkyrie here. And I think teams just need to recognize that if you aren't running it, you don't have that same mobility anymore. So you need to be kind of more cognitive of the kinds of spots that you hold and the positions that you put yourself in, because you don't have that kind of get out of jail free card of that Valkyrie redeploy. But Noxious picking up a ton of points in this one. 15 kills for the squad. And let's take a look at that Mobile One high performance moment. I think it might just be, Tom, that moment you were looking for in the end game. It's our final 4 squads here as Start a Fight go down. And this is Rolders just going ham solo.
Yeah, you would think like, was this a 30-30? No, it was a longbow. So this is just so clean. Throughout all of this, I think he ends up hitting 1 or 2 more shots because he ends up finishing this off. And not only the way that Rolders was able to stay alive here, the way that he was able to use the knockdown shield afterwards. Unfortunately, the Seer Q is going to cancel the res. So because the micro drone does that, he's not able to realistically bring his teammates back up. And that's the time that the Bums should have pushed. But it was a really unfortunate situation for them that they had to make their way uphill. But you saw Rolders doing whatever he could to keep his team within this one. I mean, this is a really talented team that he's going up against. The Moo Monsters are another squad that's going to be playing very, very aggressive, and you're playing one of the more passive characters with Watson. But when you see that he's playing aggressive like this, you could say, hey, you know, you don't put people on Watson because of the fact that they're not a fragger. Rolders is coming through as a fragger, and you can play Watson. You know, that when we had original, like, Season 1, Season 2 meta, they always put the player who would be maybe the weakest Slayer onto Watson so that Pathfinder and Wraith could go out and do whatever they needed to do. But you're seeing how much times have changed and how individually talented everybody is.
And I also love the confidence that replay from there exemplifies from Rolders, because a lot of those situations, right, you hit, you know, empty on your PK clip there, and a lot of players will kind of take those couple of seconds, hit the reload, go back in, and Rolders says, no, I got this. I'm going to hit the first no scope, the 2 quick scopes. The longbow is going to do just fine in this situation and takes care of business there. Unfortunately, they don't grab the win because Noxious do a great job in the 2v3 at the end, but Starter Fight still looking solid in that performance. We'll have to keep an eye on them as the day goes on, Tom, and I will have plenty more for you when we come back for halftime. Right now we're going to a break, and when we come back, we'll check out that Mobile One leaderboard, see where all of our teams stand, and get ready for game number 3.
Howdy, howdy, legends. Welcome back to Series Z Open Night. We're about to make our way into Game 3 here. But before we do that, let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance, or not the high performance moment. My apologies, that's Yeso's job. We're looking at the leaderboard.
Yeah, we still see Tyson in first place, but honestly not with a huge lead. I don't think we saw Tyson really performing super hot this match. So we do see Noxious going into second here with 29 points. That is not a far lead at all. And Moo Monsters in third with 25, and Team Mike and Ike in fourth with 24 points. That's pretty even all up at the top there.
Yeah, one game could quickly close the gaps that have formed just between the initial ones here. And to be honest, we've seen some star shining moments between all of these teams as they've had their kind of specialties between both game 1 and 2. But this, of course, comes back to consistency. But that's not really the best word to describe what's taking place here, especially in the midst of all these teams figuring something out. I like what Tom brought up. At the end of the day, there's a lot of knowns that are currently true here in Apex, and the best time to really find out what will be the strongest impact is today and is tomorrow, and what will be for the next week here. So consistency not really going to be a thing for a while.
Yeah, especially in the very first competitive match of Season 14, it's going to be pretty hectic. And tomorrow, too, especially with Pro Night, because you know that a lot of pros are going to be trying out different compositions as well. So it's going to be one of those things where it's like, okay, so you got 2 days in the game. How does it feel? How do things, how do you feel about things? How do you think they are going to go? What do you think is going to be nerfed? What do you think is going to be balanced? Because you know that there are going to be some changes mid-season.
Yeah. Looking at our character select here, it does seem like there's still a proximity towards the new castle. Nothing there really changing, of course, with the Seer lining up alongside it. But some other picks, the Mad Maggie still making its reappearance. Fuses, Lobas, some experiments across the board here, of course, as our dropship makes its way across Kings Canyon one more time.
Yeah, we do see another even spread as well, with a lot of the teams dropping in pretty much every POI possible. Now, I am curious to see if anyone's going to be changing where they go and see if they want to face off against a different set of teams, because we know that some POIs are going to be contested on drop.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy because we go into this with the notion of setting up, well, a team wants to come out and win tonight, right? But I really don't feel like that is the major kind of impact that a lot of these squads are feeling. It's, I mean, heavily based off of the concept of just feeling the current, pacing of what exists here on Kings Canyon Season 4 as a whole, and winning maybe just an afterthought. But for now, Noxious still looking to keep a heavy hand on their lead. He's looking a little bit slower than usual, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, they really got the cinematic cam on for players, huh? It's interesting. All right, you got the slow-mo, making
They found
sure
their
that they
pace.
can, yeah, making sure they can line up the shots. Is that worse than aimbotting? Is that worse than aimbotting? Like slowing down the game so you can get those accurate shots? Is that, yeah. Because you're still practicing your aim, so maybe aimbotting's worse.
I feel like okay, so aimbotting is just at the end of the day, you just hit everything, right? But
Yeah.
slowing down the game is maybe equally as bad, because essentially the players just become bots at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
With all that being said, obviously there are some problems on the back end. We're going to be throwing this one to a short break, and when we come back, hopefully our game 3. Stick around. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, of course, to Series E's open night here, and things are looking a little bit quicker as we reapproach Game 3 here. We're joining in with Vizio, of course, with Motive as well, before their fight that ultimately will break out.
Yeah, I want to see Motive win this one. You know, like, just switch on and off who wins this location, right? Like, it's a nice location. You know, one person should fight for it so they can get all the loot. I don't want to see anyone run away from this one this time. This is a retake of this match, so let's go.
I kind of want to like stay here just to see what the golden weapons are in the caustic current like setup. Either way, a nice micro drone found. That's gonna drop crows here. Doesn't look good. Or Motive currently in that habitat there. That's going to be providing the information that they need to potentially get a return of their own there. But the Newcastle with the defense of their own is pushing back. But that thermite, that damage is just too much to bear there. And that's all but done.
Yeah, that was a well-done fight there. I mean, Motive held on a lot longer than I thought they would, so kudos to them. But unfortunately, just was not enough.
I feel like we were just being supportive of them.
We were, but they did a great job with that. But I just wish, you know, they've been able to play that a little bit better. But they did end up pushing and kind of gave away their ground. Ooh, and we see start a fight here in this POI again. Oh, just getting bombarded by as many throwables here. Okay, they're facing off this 1v1 here.
Hey.
Saf just absolutely taking down Floop, but now has to fully disengage to try and heal up again.
Ooh, and I guess that's not as good as I thought. Contestant's actually looking way better than start a fight right now. Floop is officially completely revived, even if it's the hands of your Newcastle there. Looks like they are being pressured back for the time being, so no squad really going to be taking much more action here. Elevator Music, they were the ones to also commit to this one, so maybe it's start a fight, maybe paying the price the most here. We'll have to check in with them in a moment to see if they were able to get their third back up. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and there they are being able to get this res off. But I don't know why people choose to fight at that location, but because it is just a beacon calling it for third parties here. And FRS taking down FIA here just outside of where that fighting was happening. Now, they are not fully engaging here. All right, no, they did, and they just eliminated TCB Esports. Yeah, it's really hard. If y'all are watching us, it's very hard to keep up with every single fight happening. So when we do tune in, it might be midway through cleaning up a team, as we just saw here.
We're catching them as quick as we can, okay? The game is officially... We tried to slow it down coming into Game 3, but they wouldn't let us, all right?
Yeah, Kings Canyon has a very fast pace, so that is something to keep in mind. We are with 16 squads left, and round one, even with circle closure being amped up, it's not fully closed yet, so.
No, it's teams... At the end of the day, this kind of comes back to the fact that there aren't the full, 20 POIs that exist on Kings Canyon, so, I mean, it's inevitable. With this small map, with the spacing, with where the drops are, you're going to have those initial 50-50s because it's unavoidable, right? And you try to choose out some of the larger POIs so that there might be some area to share, but the fights like we see between Motive and Vizio are inevitable, and they continue to come forward here as we tune in into the marketplace where another one's breaking out.
Yeah, Revenge Tour coming in here, trying to get some damage down here. They do end up cracking on their Watson player over here, but it's not enough to fully push, and they can't really push here. I mean, there are so many Newcastle walls in the way. Of course, they can try to do some damage with Maggie's Q here, but it's not going to be enough for them to actually take the fight. So they are just playing at a distance, and they're going to be able to fully heal.
Yeah, it looks like both teams get a reset of their own, and like you said, the defense is just set up at this point, and both teams not really taking any strides to make more moves past it. I mean, it's literally a duel here in Old West. Shoot at 12, but the clock never quite strikes. For now, we tune into the other side of this one. It looks like a fight maybe just ending here. Actually, on the eastern side of the map, Noxious, one of our kind of current lobby leaders here, paying the price maybe at the hands of Moo Monsters, who are on just the outside of this area.
Yeah, it looks like Moon Monsters are able to make a full recovery and heal back up here. They don't have to move in too much for the circle, so they'll be fine. But they are aware of other teams existing in the area that they need to be aware of because it's a pretty open area they're going to be moving into. And just as we mentioned, you can see Razor here keeping an eye on that final fight here because this could be one of the choke points that they decide to go through. So we're going to be seeing how this looks. Of course, we have 2 minutes on the closure, and they might move in a little bit sooner. FRS, outside of the circle.
Also here.
Yep,
also currently sitting in the same area.
This is going to be an interesting fight. We do, and remember, Circle 1 does hurt like Circle number 2. So this is going to be, if they've been rotating around, they are going to be hurting quite a bit.
So I guess it's likely there that we see Moo get pushed back into the zone there as FRS rolls up from somewhere and forces them to make that decision. Now, granted, Razor's still in position just directly down there towards the southern end. Not likely that FRS will maybe meet up with them, especially since they do have a little bit more mobility, being the fact that they're running both that Vantage and that Valkyrie, so they should be more than safe, especially in comparison to some of these other rosters.
Oof. Yeah, Basic taking some crucial health damage here. Oh, no shield now. He's got to get into cover pretty quickly, but I don't know if he's going to be able to skirt this damage. I mean, yeah, he should have stopped to heal in there, but they are... Twerkaholics are chasing them down quite heavily here, but they're also getting shot back, so now they have to pull back here. Ooh, okay, that Vantage shot. So now every damage that Curiosity hits with that for the next 10 seconds with her ultimate there would have added 100 damage, but unfortunately they are getting...
Unfortunately, they're gone. Unfortunately, they're gone.
No, they just rolled up for free there, and now they're going to try to clean up.
Just for a
trying to clean up the other
second,
team.
I thought we were going to, like, get a little bit of advantage. I know, you were so excited because it was like,
I
the
know.
ultimate, the information, and then it doesn't last for much longer. Meanwhile, we tune in with Vizio, who are also now apparently running Octane, which, hey, I'm all for the Tom meta. We're trying out new things here. We'll see if the legend himself, the old combo, can work out here, especially in combination with the Mad Maggie, who is as forward as it gets right now. For now, though, taking some damage from afar, just going to have to take some time, pull this one away. It does force Mike and Ike to pull far.
Yeah, and they are fine here in this corner, and they are in circle, but, I mean, anyone can have a viewpoint here. We do see Killa taking some damage here, trying to set up fences, but not able to here. And, oh, no, was trying to set down the pylon and brought out his melee weapon and does go down, and FKA is now eliminated. Unfortunate timing there.
As I say, pylon or not, I don't think he was going to be surviving much longer. I mean, we talked about it. You specifically bringing up how much of a beacon this specific building can be, especially for any team maybe looking to get in on some of that action there. So a big success for them. Vizio still sit up on the other side here. We know Mike and Ike just a click away where they are still providing a few shots there. What I really want to see, though, is the fact that that pad is well and available. We can see the full send here from the Octane, the combo to run with that Mad Maggie. It's just, as you've kind of also pointed out, a little too far in the open, and one bad move can be quickly capitalized on by a third party.
Oh, okay, Mar with the charge rifle just being absolutely disgusting here, but not able to fully connect. But he is building up shields for his team, which is great. But I mean, also it's the it's the charge rifle, so I mean, like, gross.
Yeah, there you go. I was about to say, can you really be giving credit to a charge rifle right now? Like, how about this? G7 Scout. This takes a little bit more marginal skill. Some shots hitting here. Fat Fruit Ninja. Unable to finish the job. Gonna have to pull away for the time being. But maybe more. Maybe some more. Some help down. But no! Shot Boxity with the Volt. Able to find the drop.
Yeah, I was going to say he was pushing a little bit too far by himself here. I mean, the other team, they are stuck out in the circle here, but they can rotate around. So it's one of those things of, like, which fight do you take? Do you save your own team? Because now you are getting caught out by Moo Monsters here because you took too long taking this fight and you weren't able to finish it off. So now another team is coming in to finish the job for you.
And there you go. Only Mini there with the utilization of the Wrecking Ball. Just going to run this one forward. Got to be a bit careful there. It is still a high ground disparity from below, though. A combo of that damage will eventually net them their success. It does look, though, that Razor might have forced their way in. FRS is completely eliminated, and seeing some of that damage there, it only can be Razor. So yes, Boxity does take a bit of damage on the back end, and as you said before, I mean, they have the opportunity to pull away, go through the other side of this choke, and
Leave. Your team left.
The other team already left. They don't even think you're doing this.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is interesting play. I feel like we've seen Razor do a lot of plays where they're not quite sure of what they want to do, and that's kind of become their demise. And like that's something that they have to try and figure out, because a lot of times in Apex, if you are hesitating in these higher tier lobbies, you're going to get punished for it very heavily. And there are still 12 squads left, so you don't want to be going out here.
Right. At least I can give them this. Razor's looking to defend their backside. They want to make sure that they are the ones to completely dominate this choke if they're going to be playing from it, right? And the fact that that zone doesn't quite really block it off, especially coming off the back end of round 2, does warrant the level of, we'll say, defense they provided there. So now that it's moving in, Razor should be more decisive, as you have stated and pointed out. For Mike and Ike, they are forcing their way back towards this building. I love the angles that they have from below, though.
Yeah, they do need to be aware of the team in front of them, though. Their attention is definitely split, and they are not fully healed, so this fight is not going to go well in their favor here. Wiz already goes down so quickly, who was at half health, and now they have to decide on whether or not they're going to fully engage in this fight. MJ not able to connect these shots with the wingman, does eliminate one, but unable to connect here. Oh, all right. Mike and Ike just won out that fight. I did not think they were going to live that because Wiz had no health, but now this third party, we're going to have to see if MJ's going to be able to get away and fully reset here, because they do not have a lot of health recovery.
I'm more worried about Mar there. We talk about Mad Maggie. Yes, it's something of a rotational punishment, aggression to be held, but definitely has to make its way across the river there. A nice battery is sustained. MJ going to be plugging that Phoenix kit as well for the time being, though, is canceled through that Seer Tactical. You know for a fact this team from above wants to put shots down, but Top GS making their own way. This prevents them from rushing forward, but for Top GS, stunted in their own rotation. It's left up to Eon and is quickly picked off from behind. Razor from their choke, able to eliminate 2 here from the side lane.
Yeah, they are getting shot now, and they're not going to be able to get that res from that corner. But we go to Nerf, who is actively searching out this team that's just hunkering down here.
Nice, nice.
Now, it is a Watson team that is bunkered in, of course, so it's going to be a pain to try and get through. But luckily, Newcastle might be able to put up a wall and bar them in, so they only have one entrance to go through.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a rotation that is forced here in a moment, but hey, you've got that Maggie to play with the habitat as well to provide the information. You can see Wrecking Ball already down. I like this.
Oh, no.
Form it like a Phalanx. Utilize it with a mobile shield. Slam the castle wall down. You're good, baby.
That was absolutely gross placement. Well done from the Watson, but oh, gross to look at. You do see Nerf pushing in very slowly because the other Newcastle has dropped down their wall as well. And the wall has also been buffed, by the way. The health has been buffed. So you really need to aim at the same spot in order to get it to be destroyed. And it takes quite a few more shots here. Turns takes too much damage. Has to fully back off in Phoenix. I don't know if this fight's going to happen. I think there's going to be a third party that comes in because this is, again, in one of the central points of this map.
Yeah, I was going to say, you literally have a squad who's clearly waiting on the outside of bunker, just vying to pull off the third party here in a moment, and that is, of course, Moo Monsters. Just on the cusp of that door, the minute this action breaks out here between the two of them, Moo Monsters will roll on in and take advantage. You can see Contested looking for that quick reset there, able to find it. But you can see Moo Monsters surprisingly dropped in their own right. It looks like they weren't able to get off as much as they wanted, but they do still force them right onto the back end of that zone, that thermite ticking.
Yeah, Moo Monsters just trying to secure whatever KP they can because they are down a person, but they're not able to quite connect here. Head tries to get the shield swap, does end up getting it off.
Nice,
Ooh, and
nice.
does get the elim there on Added, or gets the down there, trying to eliminate the last member. Does get knocked to the ball here, and now it's down to Mini to win this 1v1.
Just trying to hide behind his teammates to pull that bat off, but isn't quite able to find the corners there. And as a result, Razor and Contested are officially eliminated there in their final moments. Bring us down to our 6 squads remaining. Mind you, though, Mar only being 1 rat. Gotta pull this off, whether his life depends on it or not. Tyson, a 1v1, more like a 1v done there, taking us to 5. Mar still able to sustain as just the single lone member.
I got so worried when I saw the PK hit for 999. I was like, no, I know they're just 1 hit. Please get that 50 pump at least.
Woo. I'm curious to see. I mean, there's so many death boxes in the area there. Mike and Ike, if they find it, we know the banners are just across the way. A mobile revive might be in store, but we'll have to check in just a moment. We look at this zone here, and hey, there you go. Mobile respawn coming through. Wiz and MJ back in the fight here. We're going to see how they set themselves up, especially given as late as this is.
Yeah, and there are going to be a lot of squads looking at them and knowing where they are and knowing that there are 2 fresh spawns that they can just pick a fight with. So this is going to be an interesting rotation, but we do know that people aren't going to be giving up their positions here just because this is pretty close to final circle. But we are going to be seeing a lot of the teams that are on the outskirts try to push in, which could be that sort of distraction that Mike and I can need right now.
Yeah, you can see them there, able to put themselves well within this building, and MJ actually able to find the full armor as well. Hopefully we can see that one fall through in some of these other sustained moments. Meanwhile, Revenge Tour, one of the few squads that does have some subtle high ground here in our Zone 6. Granted, this one's going to be lost fairly quickly as start a fight in their own action here. Pressed to try to make their way inside. Abe's going to be utilizing that pylon for now. They're able to defend this building.
That was unfortunate. I did see the EVA 8 shots going wild there, but they are okay. They're back in their bunker. They're going to be able to recover. They are within circle. They're fine for now, but they can't really peek out right now because there's so many teams looking in this one house.
Yeah, you can see this is definitely one of the more, we'll say, high priority real estate for some of these teams still trying to fight their way inside. As you can see one below has already taken that one away, just holding some of the doors there. You can see Rollers, Aves, trying to plan out exactly where their rotation might come through, especially in the next 10 seconds once that zone starts closing.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because they can survive in this building for quite some time. They don't have to push right away, but this is going to be one of those things of just everyone getting shot as they funnel out of the one area that they can. So this is going to be an interesting final circle because we have 5 squads left and it's a pretty open area.
Yeah, I definitely start looking towards Mike and Ike, who are on the complete opposite side of all of our 5 squads here, who are more than likely going to be taking fights towards each other before they ever really get the opportunity to go towards that outside there. Definitely does still depend on some of the cover and where the attention is placed. Start a fight, Rollers, just barely seeing that rotation from the rat below.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough position to be in because you are funneling out of one location, one entrance from this building, and everyone knows that you have to go through that one spot. They are able to go through. Watson Pylon does go down, but we do see one of their members going down here. Relder is trying to provide some openings here, but he does go down as well, and Moo Monsters have been eliminated. And now it's down to the top 3.
Abe's not lasting for much longer there. It does take us down to our top 2, and I like the fact that MJ, now back in the game, is able to provide the castle wall that does give them the support of their defense. But this one's just going to be rolling right up against each other, toe-to-toe here. MJ low, the first to fall, but it is a 2v2 here. Wiz trying to play this one back towards the river. A nice beam found out, and Mike and Ike, your champions of Game 3.
That was disgusting. What a recovery from them late game.
Yeah.
Luckily, they were in a position where they had eliminated a squad and there were so many dead bodies that they were able to kind of refuel, which is great. Great play by their Newcastle and Maggie, because you could see that Maggie actually took down the other Newcastle wall, giving them space to push through, which was fantastic in the last final 2 fight.
Yeah, we talk about that damage from the drill there, and it did finally provide in the very, very end. So, I mean, we know Mar survived throughout the entirety of the game, so we should be congratulating Mar more than just the Maggie play, actually able to keep that roster well and alive across the entirety of that one as late as it was here. But definitely some more action across the board, some notables. Vizio, of course, sustaining their own fight here against Motive once again fairly early on, but not really able to find more points as well.
Yeah, there were a lot of really good early fights as well. We did see a lot of teams still learning the choke points and the different rotations. We did see a lot of teams getting punished for not really knowing what to do in those situations. So hopefully for game number 4, we will see the teams kind of being a little bit more careful about rotating in quicker. Yeah, what we're going to say, it's been an interesting matchup because a lot of people are just still figuring out what legends work on this new Kings Canyon.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially given the meta has become something of, I mean, it's a weird counter. You have hard and aggressive rotation of that, of say something like the Maggie with the bunker of the Newcastle, which seems to be like a salt and pepper combo where neither really match, but they both find their way onto the compositions, creating the dish that we see here. For now, though, we're going to be sending this one back to the analyst desk as Yeso and T-Squared join you once again. I remember.
Game's done, and 3 more to go here tonight. As Zephyr, I can still hear chuckling in my ear over there. Big win though there for Mike and Ike, grabbing a huge victory, and a big highlight, of course, on Mars, specifically getting a clutch, being able to get the res, get the team back in there, and they clean up in that final circle.
Yeah, that was a really big 1v1. I believe that was when his PK hit for 9 on the first shot, and you're worried.
You hate to
like,
see it.
Oh man, he's like hits for 9 and then hits for 81, but both shots looked basically identical. They were both really solid, but a really interesting situation there. You almost felt like Rolders on Watson was going to clutch it out again. He, was pushing to try to get a head glitch, thought to get the interception pylon down, but unfortunately they were just kind of all staggered, and they all had to go through that single door, and they were popping their head out like the Three Stooges, just kind of one by one. So a difficult situation to be in, but Mike and I capitalizes on it. You got, again, a really great Newcastle wall ended up going down, and then after MJ ends up putting down some decent shots, everyone else really just followed up right there, and it was just great teamwork all in all from Mike and Ike.
Yeah, and this is a really huge game for them. They pick up the 13 kills and the win. They were already kind of up in the mix in the upper half of our leaderboard, and I'm not sure if this is enough to jump them into first place, but at the very least, they will be well in contention here in the second half for a top 2 finish here tonight. So we'll have to check that out in a little bit. But let's look at our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 3, and it is the end game here. MJ setting up the castle wall, and then the reinforcements come through to clean it up.
Yeah, and you wonder if Mar, is he going to maybe change his name to another artist, maybe like Snoop or something, because you got MJ, you got Wiz, all you got to do is have somebody else in there that's an artist, and you actually have a pretty talented lineup for a festival. So I like the way Mike and Ike ended up pushing this wall, though. I think that MJ slapping this directly in the middle was really key, because now everybody else has to kind of play around that, and then the wall that
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Series E. Let's take a look at that leaderboard here as we're quickly making our way into Game 4.
All right, yeah, we see Team Mike and Ike taking first with 49 points, setting themselves 9 points above Moo Monsters. Okay, yeah, no, Moo Monsters. Yeah, that works out. That checks out. Okay, 40 points, tied with Team Tyson at 40 points as well. And Start a Fight is fourth with 32 points. So it's all pretty close. I mean, yeah, I have no idea who's going to take first today.
I have no idea. We've seen a different interaction every single time here as we've made our way through the technical first half here of Kings Canyon. And this time around, what you might be used to is the switch up. Well, not quite. We're still playing this one out on the Kings Canyon map, giving these teams the opportunity to really feel Season 14 all the way. Like, really get their fingers in there. Maybe their mouse as well. I don't know.
Okay, anyways, moving
Their
on from
inputs.
that. Yes, we see Contested actually running away from a fight here. I think they did drop with someone close, but they're not fully engaging at the moment.
I'm curious what's going on. Like, trust me, I get this fight, but like, haven't we seen Caustic, Treatment Plant, Motive, and Vizio? We'll have to check in their moment. Meanwhile, Contested. Oh no!
They're not.
I love the Observers so much. They've given us. Where did they end up going here? Searching. I'm blind as a bat. I can't quite find exactly where they ended up here. No, they just went slightly north there to Market. So guess that a bit of an opening there is. It looks like the only 50-50 on the map here is Bunker. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, bunker fights are very rough, especially early on, and it looks like Truckaholics has put down some good damage, but they are going to get punished for that push here. Ooh, it's not looking good here for Twerkaholics. I think that Arcstar is probably going to do them in here, and Contested end up winning. And of course, the graceful teabags there.
All right, it's okay. Here at Esports Arena, we don't ban our players from a little bit of the sultry teabagging, but either way, I'm shocked. Contested there were pressured in that situation, and they were able to turn that one out. A few great ordinances, the pressure of the high ground in the bunker, and just one very, very, well, choice rotation there from Twerkaholics that didn't work out in their favor. For now, though, out towards Motive once again here, down here towards the south. Instead of going from Market, maybe Caustic Treatment, they've actually opted here for the Relic itself. And Tyson, I guess he shows it how it's done with the G7 Scout there. Davis.
Yeah, Davis is one of the best shooters for sure, and being able to get that G7 Scout in his hands, I mean, that's just absolutely disgusting, and it looks like they are full pushing into this fight here. I don't know if Motive was expecting this.
I mean, they said, things haven't been working out against Vizio, but the partnered squads may not be any better there, but Trev Stacks does make short work of Joey there with the Volt in play. Habitat down does give them the information they may need to follow this one. They have to be careful, though. All three members are extremely low, sitting on whites across the board, but I think it looks like Tyson just fully pulls away. They don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, they did lose out on Joey, but, Davis is also getting hit while running away, so this, yeah, it looks like he is trying to hide at the moment before he does try to run out.
New spots. I'm gonna take that one to ranked later.
Yeah, FKA going over to Octane's Gauntlet here. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of fights happening here.
No, and most of the spread has been pretty much Caustic Treatment in that central area just outside of Bunker. Everything else has been fairly quiet here. So for FKA, just starting to see the back end of what may be the remnants there of Team Tyson. Beam from afar, but remember, this area is incredibly open now. It doesn't have those buildings that used to be in play when Salvage was the original POI.
Yeah, so now it is. I feel like you could say that about a lot of Kings Canyon. A lot of it is open, but they do have Newcastle here to provide some sort of cover. But I don't know if it's going to be quite enough for them to fully push into this fight here. They do know that there's a duo out there somewhere, but they're not quite sure where they went. And, oh, Moo Monster is just moving in across the map, trying to cross over.
Yeah.
They're kind of separated here, though, which is interesting.
Maybe just trying to find an angle there. It is a bit of a delay on head, so that is sometimes scary, especially when you can see Pressure like that from behind there off the back end of containment. It does take a chunk of damage, but does begin to close that gap, so I think they are fairly safe. Nerf still is trying to make their way across this bridge, maybe force some of that aggression, but I think this area in particular, especially after last game, is such a bait. Now, I don't like that house either more, but I think I like being on the low ground a little bit less.
Yeah, we do see Nerf moving in towards this beacon for third parties here, but they are okay. This hasn't been looted yet. They are going to see that there are fights close by, as you can hear. They are aware of this fight happening, and they are trying to move in. They do spot someone kind of caught out moving up towards higher ground here. I'm not quite sure if they're going to engage yet. They haven't really seen if there are any downs yet, but we do see that TCV Esports has been eliminated as well in the match.
Tyson did fall, though, at the hands, of course, of, my apologies, Motive and in all that action. We actually take ourselves, though, to an area we don't particularly see here. Just on the cusp of this low swamped area here. FRS does get a nice return on a Razor. It is a 2v2, but that Fruit Ninja takes the brunt of that damage. And Blake Unade, seeing that they have the opportunity to capitalize, send this one full forward. A 9 to take a pellet. More of that damage from the zone, assisting as well there. Will finish the job in the final moments as FRS are eliminated.
Yeah, it looks like FRS was actually in a better standing there, but unfortunately we're not able to capitalize off their push there. Now we do see Nerf kind of in the center of the map here, just actively aware of all the different fights happening all around them, and they are aware of the other team existing on the other side, and I don't think they did engage, but they are trying to go backwards and rotate around.
Not exactly sure how this rotation may fare. You've got this entire squad right on your side, and they've already dropped the rest of crew there. But Revenge Tour doesn't look much better. It is technically a 2v2 here. You can see Squirt's going to be trying to get that revive up, but the Mad Maggie drill right on top of the castle wall there does pressure them both in the zone as well.
Yeah, I don't know why he pushed towards that, but now Logan trying to get some damage off. I don't know why he isn't just running to reset, but now he might be done for here if he's not careful.
Ooh. Arcstar will delay potentially the inevitable. Logan does manage to just barely get the bat off, switch to the Volt there, but the beamage isn't quite full in fruition. Force what Crummy and crew there from Nerf are able to defend their backside in their final moments.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Revenge. They weren't able to fully capitalize off of that res because of that Maggie drill. But now we see start a fight, actually in a fight here at Crypto.
Ooh. Nice tactical there from Abe. It's going to scan all three members of Vizio who found themselves quite far east, but given the fact that they have the information in that zone, it's not surprising to see themselves set up. Granted, even though the fact that they have such a composition that does bode into the concept of the extreme rundown. We'll see if maybe they kind of take this towards the low, see if they can force themselves on this team if they get a better read.
Yeah, they are just kind of waiting it out here. I mean, they do need to move. Now, we do see Contested moving in to... that Arcstar was unfortunate. We do see them moving into where we just saw the fight happen, and Added not looking too great here. Has to back off. Does go down. Now, Floop is trying to disengage to get his shields back, but he's also taking storm damage and does get downed as well. And now it's just down to Butters Uncontested to try and survive.
Yeah, right off the back of that rock there. You can see them just trying to see where this one ended up. Maybe that teammate going to give it away there. Added, giving the notion of exactly where they set themselves up here. For Nerf, they are technically a two-man now in the roster, but more than capable of picking up the banner there for turns. My big question, though, is the rotation. They got a ways to go, and remember, because of this choke no longer being available towards the south side of Market, doesn't look too bad. Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Nerf are able to pull off the win, finish off Contested.
Yeah, and back over with start a fight here at Crypto. Still not fully engaged. We do see ultimates coming out, but no one's actually fully pushing here. And they are still in circle, so they're okay. But we do see Elevator Music, a two-man squad, trying to push in.
They do get the respawn off on and they go hard here, but at the end of the day, doesn't have much time to really put themselves up into any kind of sustain. And as a result, B. Borden does get the knockback. Now, they did provide some damage as well, so maybe this gives them the opportunity to get that revive off, but this area is becoming hotly contested. Defensive bombardment coming down. Defense for now.
Yeah, Vizio's looking pretty good right now. They are able to swap shields and fully have purples on the overall squad. And they do have the high ground, which is great for them, but they are aware of the other squads below them as well.
Not just one, looking like more than that here. Two on both angles, and one that finds enough damage to break Sung there. At a certain point, it looks like Vizio will be kind of forced onto this roof. It's just going to be at the point where they hope that some of these squads don't quite have those angles, some of those that are currently still rotating in out there from the west. Once that's gone, Vizio's a little bit more safe, but for now, they need to make sure that no one's kind of rolling up from behind them, taking their way onto this kind of ramp, and maybe finding some kills.
Yeah, and not too far off, we see Mike and Ike here on the next POI over. They do need to scoot in a little bit to get into circle, but they are actively holding out a squad here. And it looks like the other team does have a fuse trying to get some extra damage off, but not able to quite hit any of them.
Not quite yet, but not put in a poor state towards themselves. Moon Monsters, this isn't the team, though, you want to match up against if you're looking to take a fight here. Both, technically, the two best rosters currently in our lobby. For Moon Monsters, just starting to try to find those angles where they might be able to put some damage down, or at least put themselves into the next zone.
Yeah, and they are right there, and it looks like Tech might just be scouting here a little bit. Looks like his teammates are following close after. Oh, Mike and Ike not looking so good right now, though.
Somehow, some way, they dropped MJ, and now elevator music, trying to rappel onto their own side from the back, but they lose Graham almost immediately there. It does look like things are being split, though. Some damage from Vizio as well, a knock from the Ordnance there onto Wiz, leaving just Mar left to defend here on the Mike and Ike roster. And you can see out there from the opposite side, being pressured as well. And Mar, oh my gosh, has to deal with some of these Watson fences now.
Yeah, that was unfortunate there, but glad he got out. I'm not quite sure how he lived for that, but that was just an absolute mess. And now we do see Top GS here also using the bow from above and just kind of keeping that force and pressure there.
We have not seen the new bow check. Reminder, it's been reverted in terms of its damage back to the original 70 damage that most people knew it for when it was a true chunker here. To see if it can find the shots. We did see some of them sustained out there towards what was that fight on the low ground there, but nothing quite hitting too predominantly here for Top GSs. They're going to take some time to heal.
Yeah, they're in a pretty good position here. I mean, it does depend on where the next circle is going to pull, but for now, they do have a high position. They're able to overlook 3 different POIs, so they're looking pretty good. But they're not quite connecting the shots that they need to get their shield damage up.
Looking at our zone, it's going to be pulling directly into map room, and surprising, the majority of a roster still set out of Repulsor and out towards the west here. You can see Motive, of course, Moo, all trying to make their way in. Top GS is forced to drop, it looks like, even though you lose Lauren there in full thirst. Borton picking that one up from afar with the 30-30. Mind you, it's not even the fights taking place here at Repulsor. It's Vizio providing shots all the way from map room.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of a testament to how Kings Canyon is. You can just keep an eye on so many different POIs for so long. We do see Crow overlooking this enemy player that is just getting caught out by themselves, and he decides to full send here. Does have the Volt with the Digi threat, so he is able to see through this enemy smoke, and does end up getting the knock there on Eon. But I don't think they're going to be able to finish that team here.
No, it looks like one does make their way inside towards Repulsor just to kind of last for the time being. But, I mean, we both know zone rotations in 50 seconds. If you can't quite find a sneaky way out, they'll be capitalized on. For Moon Monsters, they did find their way into this next zone. Just a bit of a later rotation, but still well within the first floor of the map room here.
Yeah, that was a great beam up in the air by Head. I was very impressed that he could hold steady while being thrown up in the air like that. But yeah, it looks like there is just a contention for the map room because you do want to be inside here, especially with the zone closing up on this location. But it looks like they are getting gate kept out by multiple different squads in the area from across the way here. And we do see them trying to pick the best fight without causing too much attention to themselves, but might be a little late for that.
It's tough because you really want to be on top of the map room. Being a part of that roof can be such an advantage, especially with some of those later zone pulls. The problem being, though, that a lot of that high ground from Repulsor is still well within play, at least for the next 40 seconds. That doesn't allow all these squads to put themselves in the best position possible. Speaking of positions here, Motive more than happy to capitalize on the poor one that they're seeing right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Apex is a game about taking advantage of your enemies' missteps, and they definitely did that here. I don't know what the squad was doing. They probably didn't have anywhere else to go, but they are able to finish them off here with the last bullet. But now Motive down to one person. They are struggling to find a place to exist here, and they are hurting.
Yeah, that's the problem with some of these later rotations, especially with these POIs like Map Room. I mean, it is one central hub, and if you don't quite come in at the exact right moment, these teams are more than willing to clean you up as you kind of slow slide in there. TrevStacks is somehow able to rat this one out, but I mean, we both know this is a Seer meta. It will not be for long.
Yeah, it's going to be a short-lived victory. I mean, 5 squads left. He did make some pretty decent placing, but I mean, you can't quite dodge on Valkyrie like you used to either, so this is just going to be one of those inevitable eliminations at 5th place there.
Not a Seer, though. Just Tech sniffing that one out. Impressive, to say the least, but maybe just a man who understands what lays ahead here. We're down to our final 3 teams. Nerf, of course, Moo, as well as Start a Fight, or my apologies, 4 teams, Vizio as well. The 2 who had been here for almost the entirety of this game.
And we do see how many teams are left in this final circle that is going to be setting up pretty soon. And we do see Start a Fight trying to set up their pylon, trying to set up their existence in the map room as long as possible, because they do still have the cover, which is pretty great, but they do need to be aware of the other teams that are constantly fighting on top, and they may end up having to fight the team that drops on them.
Yeah, it's very likely once that door kind of, or at least my apologies, the zone breaches that door there. Once they're forced outside, it's whoever is left on the outside. And all 3 of these teams, Vizio, Nerf, and Moo Monsters, have set themselves up to try to capitalize on angles against each other. My gosh, Tech just reaming. Force what here? Grenades upon grenades upon grenades, an arc or 2 cluster as well. Gonna get that bat back up there, but he's just gonna keep forcing it.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting seeing what Fuse can do here, but not able to really connect with the damage or the elimination there. Force does go down, but to a different team. So now Tech is a little angry and trying to get as much damage off on the other teams as possible, force them to run into another team so that maybe his team can play this out till the end. And they are in a pretty good location right now. They have complete oversight of this fight here.
Look at the change there towards the Singularity. I mean, the fact that it takes allied damage now, I mean, almost immediately destroyed in combo with that Ordnance, but it still did its job, right? It found the damage. It provided those rotations. It takes Vizio down to 2 members here. Borton just barely caught out there in the last moment. This leaves only 1 to go here. Blitz trying to hide behind that crate.
Yeah, they're doing everything they can to try to get this last member out because they want to get this elimination. They want this final circle to be closing and have it just be the next 2 squads. But this is going to be rough because they just keep running between cover. There we go. All right, Vizio is eliminated at 3rd spot, and now it is time for Moo Monsters to full send with their Maggie here, using their ultimate. Ooh, cracking with the EVA 8. Mini going nutty with the EVA 8 shots here, and the Spitfire absolutely destroying here. Oh my god, the EVA 8 again, and yeah, Moo Monsters win that one almost with ease.
I was about to say, it was almost with just what felt like 1 member, Mini, really taking the initiative there in that final moment to just aggress upon the squad from below. And it seems like, I mean, they had that game plan from the very, very get-go. The minute the job was finished on Vizio, I mean, it was one quick drop, and then it was said and done within the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, also, I want to point out that they had the EVA 8 with the double tap, which is absolutely decimating. It is way too strong. And I feel like it's going to be the EVA 8 meta again, but like, fantastic job. They knew what they needed to do, and they just had the prime positioning.
I was about to say, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we wanted a response to the Peacekeeper, but maybe it was just to take the Peacekeeper down a notch, right? Now we've got two disgusting choices to work with here in the shotgun meta. So at the end, they both find their impacts, but the EVA 8 definitely showing its prime composition here for some of these loadouts. We tune in, of course, looking at some of the replays as all these squads definitely tried a little bit of the different rotations coming out of Game 4. We saw a lot of areas that didn't exist in our first half today.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of these fights, I feel like the teams instigating could have pushed a little bit harder together. But, I mean, a lot of the teams are getting the hang of Kings Canyon, I think. At least the top performing squads, we do see them changing up how they rotate and such. So it's been an interesting night of Apex.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, a lot of things that I'd say teams, especially some who might not have been as competitive or were allowed to get away with, doesn't exist. I mean, slow rotates, storm crafting, you know, taking fights on edge sloppily. I mean, all of this in many ways more than others for the last 4 games has shown, I mean, each individual weakness as most of our squads have fallen. I mean, kind of in the early iterations of zones 1 and 2, and then we get this crazy, you know, constant stacking of at least 8 squads going into zone 5 and further.
Yeah, it gets very messy as soon as zone 5 starts pulling, and it's kind of interesting to see how many teams still refuse to fight, knowing that they're going to be squished into a small circle together. So I don't know, it's one of those things of like, yes, we love fast-paced Apex, but like competitively, it's interesting to see how some teams still try to play slower when they're getting forced to fight.
It's weird. It's like the compositions are fast paced here, but teams are still trying to figure out how things work on Kings Canyon, so they're not quite pushing it to the same degree. And in the final sense, I mean, this is still a competitive setting, right? I mean, teams are competing to try to put themselves in the first or second place there. So maybe a bit of an identity crisis here. We're going to throw this one back towards Yeso and T-Squared to figure out if they could solve who's really out there on Kings Canyon.
I know who is taking wins and a lot of kills on Kings Canyon. It was Moo Monsters in this one, using that high ground effectively to clean up Vizio and clean up the rest of the lobby in that final circle. They were sitting well established in that top 3 going into Game 4, and now they're definitely going to be duking it out for that top spot in our final 2 games. T-Squared back with me once again. What jumped out to you the most from Moo Monsters in that game and what you've seen from them overall today?
Well, they have the whole north side in terms of being able to get loot for free, and that POI is one of the best in terms of getting armor, getting weapons, etc. So, you know, that's not the reason that they won by any means, but when you give a team this talented that much to work with, when they're looking to take fights, they're going to take fights with basically any type of weapon combo that they want, and then Tech's just going to be putting in some serious work on that fuse. So I love the way that they played that one. I love how Minnie was playing aggressive on Maggie. And this composition is, you know, just a composition that screams fighting, right? You could maybe put Seer in there somewhere, maybe for Fuse or, you know, somewhere for Maggie. But Horizon's still going to be really strong. Fuse is still very, very underrated. But when you combine the ultimates, you're going to see some very explosive plays coming out. And that's what we saw right there, especially towards the tail end. And I love the way that Zephyr and Stella put it, is they made that look fairly easy. I mean, they did have the high ground, they did have everything basically in front of them, but when they took that last fight, they took it so confidently, knowing that the other team's been playing Watson, has been kind of camped up for a while, and made it look like, you know, they're playing a pub type of match instead of a Series E tournament situation where money's on the line.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one, and I think you make a good point. It is definitely overloaded with that kind of offensive fight-taking capabilities. You could take a composition of any two of these three legends, pair it with a seer or something else, and you're still bringing plenty of power in those fights. It helped them pick up 10 kills in this one. And let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 4. And it's going to be another look here, of course, at Moo Monsters. They were applying so much pressure here to blitz, really had no safety behind any of these boxes. And they clean up this kill, and then they go and clean up the final couple of squads.
I think what's so awesome about this composition too is you don't really stand a chance if you're stuck inside of a building. Maybe if you have your interception pylon, your Watson gen down, that's gonna give you some sort of defense mechanism. But you're looking at a Horizon ultimate that's gonna take the doors down. You have Maggie, who's gonna be able to do damage from the inside of buildings, like from when she's on the outside. And then you have Tech, who's gonna be able to play Fuse and just is constantly chucking knuckle clusters over. And this is start a fight. This is a really strong team. That was a full 3-man squad. And remember, just a couple of games ago, Rolders is the player that took down the Moo Monsters when he was playing with that longbow and the PK. So the way that they were able to kind of take that fight goes to show you that they are ready to go. And it's just a matter of, hey, what is this? We're getting to a point now, and it's kind of always been like this with the pro players, that if they look at your composition and they feel like they have an advantage composition-wise, they're going to take the fight to you. If they feel like they have an advantage armor-wise, they're going to take the fight to you. Whatever little advantage that they have, right there, they felt like Watson was, not a very strong legend. Yeah, it got you to that point. It got you second place, but they have a composition that is ready to take a fight, that's ready to start a brawl, and that's what they did to start a fight.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the compositions that have been so prevalent over the last 6 months with things like the Gibby, the Caustic, the Watson, the Newcastle coming to new relevance, there's been so many teams that want to capture a position, hold it down, buy time, and work from that spot. And things like the Maggie, the Fuse, the Horizon are going to start to surge because they can pry open those positions and create opportunities for teams to come in and take some big kills. So we'll have to see how that priority continues to rise for those specific legends as the meta continues to develop here in Season 14. We've got 4 games done here today, 2 more to go though, so we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Stella and Zephyr will get you ready for Game 5.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
Now, even the biggest headaches are toast.
Excedrin keeps your head in the game.
Or no more throbbing noggins.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
For nothing, baby. Let's get in there.
Howdy, legends. Welcome back to Series E Open Night. We're just 2 games away from deciding who comes out on top of the rest of our lobbies here. But before that, let's of course take one more look at our Mobile One leaderboard.
Ooh, yeah, we got Moo Monsters taking first after that incredible game with 62 points. Mike and Ike are in second with 58, and Start a Fight is in third with 45. So we do see things evening out a little bit with 2 more games left. I mean, I don't know. It's still pretty close. I don't know if we're going to have a real solid top 3 yet.
Right. I mean, we've seen really dominant moments. Like, we look at Moo Monsters coming off the back end of the game, and Tom, capitalizes on the point perfectly. The fact that they see the advantages that they have, and they know they want to full send it. And at moments like that, I mean, they looked undeniable. But at the same time, we see situations where they get capitalized, and then suddenly out of nowhere, it's your Mike and Ike surviving until the very end, and then coming out on top. At the end of the day, the leaderboard is still just too close, and the gap hasn't extended that much further.
Yeah, I feel like Kings Canyon is all about knowing your positioning and priming for fights. I mean, you could have the best composition that makes sense for the meta, but if you're not positioning yourself to take these fights that are easy wins for you and your squad, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So we do see Moo Monsters being very cautious about what fights they decide to take, but also full pushing together as a team to actually take these fights and win them out, which we do see other teams failing to do properly. Oh, okay. Well,
all right. we join in here at the start of Game 5 with Moo Monsters, and it seems like sharing the POI once again. It plays that one just as safe as you can. Realizes the longbow not quite on their arsenal, just a bit ahead. They've got that enemy there. They might be able to find the beam, but for now, we tune in towards Relic. Tyson, fight of their own.
Yeah, but now this brings back memories of Skulltown here. Not quite able to fully get this down here. They're trying to hunt down this Valkyrie, but Joey also takes a little bit too much damage and has to fully back off because this is not a fight that they're going to win if they do lose a member here.
No, not quite there, so they take the time for its current duration. Trev, though, not looking any better. So both currently, I would say, equal in their standings. You can see two there, though, with the utilization of that Seer Tactical. They now have that information. This might be the prime opportunity for them to start pushing this one out. I mean, no one has sustained this early in the game.
Yeah, Motive looking pretty decent here, but we do see that Trev has not been able to fully heal since then and has to slow heal. So Moo Monster is also in the early game fight. Head not looking so great here, but hopefully he's able to get a shield swap and fight the last member. But yeah, it's looking a little, it was looking a little dicey, but luckily they are able to win that out, and Top GS is now eliminated.
Yeah, Top GS didn't quite have the focus down on exactly who they were going to at least eliminate, and as a result, even though they were on Flesh, they never quite had the line of sight. Meanwhile, of course, back down here towards our Tyson versus Motive fight. It is currently a 1 or 2v2 there, but it is brought down to just Washi and one more in response here. Washi more than happy to take some time on the door to put themselves back up in a more competitive state as Trev Stacks isn't looking much better, and they know they have the opportunity to put some meat on their bones.
Yeah, and Trev has been kind of struggling since drop, just not able to fully heal, which kind of sucks. But he is opting to go for the res here, and it looks like they are exchanging reses and trying to push into this fight here because they do want to be able to secure that first KP, but they're not able to fully connect here. And Davis taking some time to heal so that he can properly get in the fight.
That numbers disparity is definitely going to become a thing here in a moment, especially if they stick that revive onto Joey. I mean, it's almost confirmed that they find their success going into this fight. You can't break into that door. The missiles, that's going to provide the damage, but all three members are now officially up, and oh my gosh, Trev had nothing left to give there. Just 27 damage, finished the job.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Trev, not able to fully heal during that entire drop fight. But we do see Mike and Ike in a fight here. And that ultimate was not able to fully extend, but that's all right. They are trying to push and take this fight here.
Get rid of that habitat there in just a moment, and that will hopefully provide some defense. But from afar, Razor does find the knock on Tamar. This is their go button now. They have the numbers advantage. They can run this one back, even though they don't quite have the habitat back to work with. Heartbeat sensor out. This is Blake who trying to see where exactly they might have ended up, and deep into the distance. They just barely start to line up some of those shots. The G7 Scout is barely missing.
Yeah, unfortunate. But, I mean, they do have decent damage. They were able to get some shields here for their teams. So not looking too bad for Razor here. Hopefully they are able to full send into another fight so they can secure a better shield for Nade. But, yeah, as of right now, they're just scoping out, making sure that no one is going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, just sit on top of the banner there. Make sure that they can't quite get the recovery on that one, and you know for a fact you'll get the second opportunity to try to take that fight once again. Speaking of taking fights here, FKA, just try to see if they can play off the backside of this next choke. Got to be careful. This rotation is still well within play here on Kings Canyon, and we will see some teams try to kind of pull that wrap around. But for contested, I mean, they're just running.
Ooh, they are getting shot at now through the choke here. Not a lot of cover to play with except for these bins, which won't... I mean, if they're a well-placed Maggie drill, will pull them out of that. They do get the crack, though, on the enemy's Bloodhound, but they do have to drop their shields a little bit earlier. Ooh, but Floop still goes down, unfortunately.
And it's not from this squad, it's from afar, all the way out there towards the direct west in our more open areas here. You can see that G7 just barely able to find that knock. Now, they do pick up the revive here, but Revenge Tour are still well within the position to potentially capitalize on either of these squads.
Yeah, this is a well-placed sandwich here, of course, through 2 different choke points. And it looks like Tyson might be in a tough position here. FKA was eliminated. Tyson does win out on this, but they also need to keep moving into the circle.
Right,
Take a little bit of damage here.
I mean, they'll take some damage here, but we know for a fact that there were at least 2 other squads well within that area who could take a fight there, especially if you're lagging in that zone. I mean, we talk about its damage here. Some of these edge-playing teams are more than happy to take you out as you take your time, and we can already see it contested, fighting their way in, taking down Revenge Tour, who were also in this area.
Yep, and it's going to be one of those things of, like, if you are, even in first circle, if you're taking your time getting into circle, it's not going to give you that leeway anymore. You have to get in there, especially because teams are already going to be expecting you.
Ooh. Noxious here. They started off the day good. Able to find some cracks there. Not quite on the drop, but the rest of his team is awaiting on the other side. Trying to break on through, finally get that fence line down, but that'll be it for TCB.
Yeah, the Volt doing wonders for Dow here. That was just absolutely beaming in there.
Yeah, the Volt, I mean, I know it took some slight nerfs coming out of the care package, but I'm pretty sure if I saw the statistical data right, I mean, it has one of the best spread currently in the game, and now it's another option. You know, I mean, you don't have to be stuck in stride and true with the 301, and I know a lot of these competitive players have said they wanted that Volt back on the floor loot, and you know what? They finally have the opportunity. You can see the level of performance, the improvement, some would say, now that it's on some of their loadouts here.
Ooh. Yeah, and Blake trying to dodge these shots here, of course. He doesn't quite make it, but good thing his teammate was there with the Ashe ult. Now they do have to fully heal, but Noxious is not slowing down in this push at all.
Hey, they got all the time in the world, and you know for a fact the minute they get Dalt up there with the gravity lift, throw the singularity down, I mean, that's a combo waiting to happen. It's just gotta wonder when they're gonna utilize that Wrecking Ball from McLovin to potentially close that gap.
Yeah, they are still chasing, but now Razor does have the high ground, so Noxious is going to back off a little bit because they know that making that push is not the smartest decision, especially since they don't have a legend that can get them up there without getting hit. So, unfortunate, but they are going to disengage for now.
And the craziest thing is we're just extending so much time out here towards this specific area, and it's nowhere close to where our zone will be pulling here in just a moment. Looking at Tyson. Got some shots ringing true here, but not enough to really find the knocks that they want. And as a result, Joey's forced to push back right up against the edge of this choke here.
Yeah, we see Tyson just making their way out, but they are rotating. I guess they're just making sure that no one is rotating in late, but they're also trying to get a different angle. So it's interesting to see KH be so open of a POI because we used to see teams bunkering down up in there.
I mean, this used to be that widespread charged rifle, just toxic situation. And, I mean, one little change to the floor level, the space, the control, I mean, it has completely been butchered in one move.
Yeah, Nerf just keeping an eye out on anyone else that might be rotating in as well. We just see a lot of teams rotating early. Again, a lot of people are learning that on Kings Canyon, especially with the new ring closures and damage, you need to be rotating in fast. So we do see that being implemented more with these teams, which is great, which means that they are learning from their mistakes. Now it's just a matter of implementing that to their fights, which is hard because not every fight is the same.
Yeah, it definitely takes a level of flexibility to address every kind of situation that you find ahead of yourself here. Contested, we know for a fact that they've got a squad that they themselves might have to address. Just playing right up against the choking. Here's some of the shots being extended from this own angle here. Floop trying to take some high ground, see if he has a little bit of a peek on them, but not quite set up.
Yeah, and they are fine here. This is one of the messier zones you can fight in just because a lot of teams can get caught rotating through this way and trying to get into the buildings and get any cover. So it's going to be interesting to see how this circle is going to pull here. We do see Moo Monsters also trying to get through a choke point here, or at least sniff anyone out coming through this way.
Yeah, Contested already knew that they were set up here, and this did force Moo Monsters back for the time being. They still could opt to play through this angle, especially if they're confident in their 3v3 abilities. But what's nice about this zone is that there is a lot of space still well and ready if they do want to go for a slightly more alternative rotation out there towards the west.
Yeah, and Blake getting a nice crack on their enemy here, but not able to fully push off of this. And we do see that the enemy team is also on high ground as well, so pushing out would give them a lot more open space to get hit by. So Razor's not pushing that, which is a smart play, but they are making a lot of noise, and teams can approach them from any direction here, so they do need to be careful about that.
I still like this one a little bit better than down towards the south, towards some of those buildings. You talk a little bit about that choke that does begin to develop as all these squads want to put themselves in that kind of real estate that actually offers cover in one of our more open zones that we talked about here. So for Razor, not directly in the fray of things, but something definitely to work with. Meanwhile, Moo Monsters try to find their way back in through the rotation that was being blocked by Contested, and very quickly do they drop one.
Yeah, Noxious not looking super great here. Also, McLovin taking a little bit too much damage. Ooh, Blake also getting caught out here. What is going on around here?
About everybody. If it's got a line of sight, well, you might as well take the shot here. I mean, I'm getting remnants, the feelings of something like a landslide as we look at all these teams try to address. And of course, this rotation in particular is absolutely crucial because it no longer allows these teams to have alternative paths to address the zone here. So for teams like Razor, who have already set themselves up in this building, ready to go, I mean, they have all angles covered.
Yeah, we do see a res coming out, which is going to be a huge target from teams out here. They do connect, but it's not quite enough. Razor also a little too afraid to move up on this team here. But, I mean, they do know that there was at least one res where someone is going to be weak or caught out. And Paps, oh no, getting caught out again, trying to make somewhat of a recovery, but unfortunately is going to take too much damage, and he might get knocked here.
Ooh. Let's see if he can run his way back up. And there's not a lot out there for them to actually set themselves up in terms of a competitive, loadout here. So for Razor, who is more than willing to start this fight off in literally 20 seconds, they already have a slight upper hand. You can see them just playing around the back end of those boxes. I will say Razor does have to be careful. This is a very strong spot, but we know for a fact that there are teams well and sitting out there towards the west who could look to kind of roll up in third party if given the advantage.
Yeah, and especially with all these precision weapons that you have now on the floor loot, you definitely don't want to be peeking out here, just like how the Horizon messed up and Blake was able to get the damage off. But now they are full sending here, but we need Razor's team to come in with them, and they do get out. They do eliminate Noxious, which was great, but now they made a lot of noise, and they need to be aware of the fact that people are going to be looking in their direction.
Well, at least for them, they do have the caustic to work with. So if someone does try to play into the building, they will be met with a nasty surprise here. Moo Monsters, a surprise of their own. They are spied out, caught on the backside of that wall there. No one's going to be really letting them through here in just a moment.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so Contested, they need to move in, so they are just staying bunkered for now because they have a minute. But look at this fight with Moo Monsters here. They are down. Tech is down here, so now it's just up to Head and Mini to take on this fight.
Gosh. And they're just barely brushing right up against Seer there. And surprisingly, Blake, who still sits within that corner, the EVA 8, just gross in terms of the speed of its damage. Still, one sitting right above there. Blake, you're going to take the time to push into this first floor here, get that battery off, and hopefully box a T with a Phoenix kit of his own. You see Blake set up to defend.
You do see start a fight here, taking a fight of their own just outside of this area. Oh my goodness. They took a lot of damage. It's now down to Matt, but he is not looking so great, and he has to fully back off and heal. But I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to get that off. Vizio also coming into this fight. You're trying to fourth party. Ooh, getting some good damage off with the Volt there, but not quite able to down anyone quite yet.
Send it.
There we go. Now it's 2 down, and it's going to be a 1v2 here with Sung.
Yeah, 1v2.
Yeah, with
Vizio.
Sung still in the play here.
Ooh, a big switch there from Blitz, but no, they still finish off elevator music no matter what. Still, I mean, we talked about this last time. Coming into round 5, almost half of our lobby just barely alive, contested the next to fall as well. I will say a majority of these teams, though, aren't quite full rosters. I mean, we see rat after rat fall there in the end.
Yeah, we do see Start a Fight was eliminated, and Moo also was eliminated as well. So now we're looking at Tyson, who are playing the outskirts. They are making their way to the center of the circle here now, which this is an interesting circle. There's not a whole lot going on in these final circles in KC.
No, not at all here, especially for this area in particular. I mean, you basically have to be directly right where Tyson have set themselves up to find success. I mean, it completely bleeds open out here. I mean, I love the utilization there of that pylon to provide the what defense that they can. Meanwhile, Vizio right up against the edge of zone, trying to defend for their life. It's up to Borton to pull this one off. A drill is extended out. It might put some damage down, but it doesn't quite keep them alive.
Unfortunately, the longbow there did not hit, and we do see Nerf trying to make a full recovery as the circle is closing. Tyson just keeping their eye out there, cleaning up FRS, and now it's down to the top 3 squads here.
I mean, top 3, I mean, it's 2 in full and 1 little rat, being MJ below Mike and Ike, still keeping this one competitive. And I have to say, that placement is absolutely crucial, especially when we start talking about that overall leaderboard. But still, this is the perfect opportunity for Team Tyson, 40 points, 4th place, to potentially surpass the rest of this competition.
Yeah, they've been doing pretty well this match. They have everything bunkered and set up. They are in the circle, so they know they are okay. They just have to be able to defend against these teams that are pushing in now, because they are at the heart of the circle, and they're able to guard.
Heart of the circle, heart of the cards. We'll see how they duel out here in their final moments. One thing is for sure, though. Those angles are just too disgusting. I mean, perfect control. They have a slight high ground, a nice peek on everybody here from Nerf. They aren't in the best source of sustain, but you gotta hope that this slight height advantage does give them the opportunity they need. But Nerf start to force their way inside.
Ooh. Yeah, Crummy takes a little bit too much damage here, has to fully back off and shield that, but I think they're going to be a full recovery. Ooh. Maggie Drill doesn't quite connect here, but they are able to hold off a major part of the cover. But they are still aware of this other team that is trying to pull in.
EMP down there. That's going to force at least some additional sustain expended here from the Nerf roster, but it doesn't look any much better there for Team Tyson. You can see them set up, just trying to play off the back of the castle wall, but the problem is they have given up their high ground. It's the perfect opportunity for Nerf to now capitalize, send the damage all they want. I mean, they don't even have any kind of response.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Watson Pylon did eat all of Maggie's abilities here, so that was one thing that didn't go in their favor, but they are able to clean up Tyson, and now it's just down to MJ here to make a move.
Not many moves here. We'll see if he can dance like the legend himself. A mobile shield down, but the shots will still follow through there.
Right.
Nerf, your winners coming off the back end of that Game 5.
All right, Nerf playing with their food there. Come on.
I'm more surprised he threw the mobile shield down. I didn't expect him to go for the full runaround.
Yeah, I mean, why not? They did Nerf did a great job. They definitely played all of the angles that they had because they weren't really in the prime position, but they did a great job playing around the corners, making use of every bit of equipment they had. Unfortunately, of course, the Pylon did eat a lot of Maggie's abilities, but they didn't need it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, there was a slight moment there where we did see the shining bits of Maggie, where the drill was a little bit of a factor that did force them off that kind of roof. And in the end, that allowed Nerf to get the slight advantage, that bit of high ground that, even though in the face of just a massive amount of Newcastle cover, is non-competitive. I mean, we talked about it, I mean, I think as early as Game 2. It's not Gibraltar. It's one-sided, it's open on angles, and if you've got the better positioning, I mean, Newcastle is basically nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen lots of examples of how great legends are and how in certain situations and how they're not great in other situations. So it's really great. There's like a give and take to Apex, and we've been able to see that shine with this lobby as well, just because there are so many different combinations, so many different things that people are doing, especially with the weapon changes as well this season.
Yeah, I mean, no one's really talked about it yet. I mean, we talked particularly about the EVA 8 being this really aggressive kind of rundown here in the shotgun meta, but everything other than that has really highlighted in particular the mid to long range. Obviously, you have a lot of these ARs, the Volt coming back in fruition, of course, with the still very powerful 301 kind of to beam it out, but things like that 30-30 and more surprisingly, the G7 Scout making themselves clearly known to really start these fights off in most situations.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see people try to play back and do more damage through long range first before they do decide to send, and then they use like an R9 or, you know, the EVA 8 to follow up, which is interesting. You can't really do that on Kings Canyon. It's not going to last for very long the longer the match goes on. So it's been really weird to see, you know, end circle, someone playing with the longbow, trying to get the last bits of damage off, which sucks. So you need to get that switch off early.
Well, as teams begin to learn here, hopefully they can address some of those issues. But there's only one game left to go. Before we approach it, we're going to send this one back to Yeso and T-Squared to address our last one.
A nice win there from Nerf as they were confidently leaning on that W key in the late circles, taking multiple different fights and able to clean up that final member there of Team Mike and Ike in the end. Mike and Ike, of course, were in second place just behind Moo Monsters, who had jumped up to the lead, but now Nerf putting themselves in the mix here, picking up a nice 7 kills there in the late game to add to those 12 placement points. And this is a Nerf squad that's been pretty solid this season, kind of bringing that same level of play from last season where they were kind of right in the mix beginning to end. And with Crummy filling in as the third here today, they're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been very strong team fighting. You know, Team Nerf is really good at just everything in terms of being able to set up towards zone, towards, you know, to team fighting. Every little facet of the game, they're really strong at it. And that's what you're going to start to notice here is, you know, you have to be more, you know, multidimensional basically here, Yeso, because there's certain teams that are going to want to get up into the zone and set up in Watson, Newcastle, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're not able to take these fights once Maggie starts rolling towards you, and, you know, you're also going to see they've been calling season 14 kind of like a controller meta, right? These up close and personal, you know, fights. You're seeing a lot of, you know, in your face type of skirmishes, and that's when these teams like Team Nerf are going to really excel. And it's nice to see them pick it up in game number 5 because it's been a little slow for them overall. They haven't really been popping off, but this has been a team that week after week, day after day in Series E has continued to improve. Turns is a great leader. I feel like Crummy and Forsey got great vibes. They have great cohesion together as a team. So this is a team to continue to watch out for as the season goes on.
Yeah, and they're especially terrifying when Messiah is in the fold. Not here today, Crummy filling in, but Messiah is that player that just adds that kind of extra wrinkle of aggression and fragging power to this Nerf roster. Let's take a look at how they finished up game number 5 here with our Mobile One high performance moment here for this 5th game. And, you know, pretty simple here. Crummy, Turns, and Force just really not missing their shots, taking a little bit of a high ground here for the angle, and then the Maggie ult right on top helps them clean up here on Tyson.
Yeah, very smart just in general to put this, you know, Fuse ultimate down right in between where Z Davis and the rest of the squad is, because Z Davis can't really do anything in this type of situation, and Joey makes a great play. You feel like if Joey can get away with this, then you're going to be able to see, you know, a potential game-turning event for Tyson. But great discipline from Crummy not to get flustered by that. He keeps his composure, lands down the shots that he needs to, and they go and finish off MJ, who did a great job ratting throughout all of this. So great job picking up those extra placement points. Unfortunately for them, a 3v1 situation not going to really work out when everybody is fully healthy. But imagine if, you know, a knock or two came through, maybe we would have saw an opportunity for Mike and Ike to be able to win this one. But you can just see again the discipline from Crummy. He's using the head glitch, constantly just going back and forth. Z Davis is all the way away from his team. There's nothing you can do, and Joey understands, hey, this is a priority player that I need to get rid of. He goes up there, tries to clamber onto Crummy, misses his PK shot. One good PK shot right there could have actually dropped Crummy and changed everything for not only Tyson, but for Mike and Ike as well. And especially Nerf ended up winning the game. So really great execution from everybody really involved in that final fight. But one team did it better than others, and that was Team Nerf. Yeah, definitely just felt pretty clean front to back from Nerf, doing all of the right things, dotting their I's, crossing their T's. They clean up Tyson really well, and they're able to grab that last kill onto MJ. Do have to note, though, as you mentioned, very important placement points there for MJ and the Mike and Ike squad getting there into second place. They were 4 points back of Moon Monsters going into Game 5. They possibly jump back into first place and open up a big opportunity here in Game 6. So it's going to be very key to see where everybody sits on that Mobile One leaderboard when we come back. We're going to a break right now, but when we come back, we've got our final game of the day, so don't go far.
Howdy, howdy, legends. One last game here in our final moments of our open night here on week 8 of Series E. Let's, of course, take a look at that Mobile One leaderboard, and Moon Monsters are currently in the lead, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, they're only off by 3 points. I mean, Mike and Ike could totally take...
Stella, just a little bit of a mute there, but we can hear the sweet sirens singing.
Yeah,
there
right. You couldn't
there
hear
you
anything. I didn't want you to hear. I wanted
Okay.
the audience to hear. So I was kind of crap talking you. But anyways, Team Mike
Per
and
usual.
Ike only need 3 points to get up into first place. So honestly, this game could be anyone's game for first place.
Whoa!
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Whoa!
Okay, we see Motive coming in hot.
Hey, guys. All right, it seems like maybe some of our teams didn't quite join in, but some of the action already starting here. Motive looking for success of their own. Tua's a bit low, but we know for a fact that they're already at a numbers advantage. Trev with the PK there, and from behind, FKA dropped.
Yeah, what a great coordinated fight there. They did a fantastic job pushing together, and this is the last game, so they want to do everything they can here to try and get up on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, at this current point here for Motive, I mean, it's been hit or miss, especially with some of those early games really holding them back. As a result, they've sat in 12th place with only 19 points here, so not really in the position to finish in a top first or second, but hopefully some moments for them to learn from, especially on the new iterations here.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if we look at the map here, we do see that everyone's kind of dropped pretty spaced out. I mean, there are some teams that are very close by, but like most of the teams that did land on each other are eliminated now. So now it's just about which teams are going to intersect as they get into each circle.
Yeah, once again, we are heading back towards containment, and last time around when we saw it here earlier tonight, I mean, this one was as open as it gets, especially on some of those surrounding areas out there towards the east and the north. That high ground disparity is just giving everyone these sight lines, and especially due to the fact that mid to long range is so powerful. I mean, one little team on the low ground just gets absolutely decimated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've seen this is why it's interesting that not many more people are playing Vantage right now, which again, I guess they are learning how to play her.
Yeah.
But she can get from low ground to high ground very quickly, and especially paired with a Newcastle, you would be able to push at least 2 members of your team really quickly on a teammate, on a team above, and be able to take that fight, which I'm very shocked that they're not running that comp, but again, it's only day 1, so we're seeing a lot of practice coming into play.
Yeah, teams will definitely start to learn exactly how Vantage may fit into the niche, but I'm going to be honest, personal opinions. I mean, I still have yet to be influenced by some of the greatest, but I think Vantage is just a little bit too selfish to find maybe priority in comp. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone shows up absolutely crass. We see some of those 3, 2, 1 countdowns, and she just pops off in the meta.
Yeah, I mean, her ability to allow teammates to do extra damage to a target that she does hit with her ultimate is pretty big, especially if you are team fighting and you are able to do the 3, 2, 1. Like right here, just as marked there. Yeah, perfect. But we do see that they aren't able to capitalize off of this, unfortunately. So the next hit, if Floop was able to hit after that, would have done 100 damage as opposed to 50 from her sniper rifle.
Yeah, and then on top of that, of course, her teammates also getting the additional damage buff to any marked target. I mean, it makes it just that much more disgusting. Meanwhile, finally, another fight here. Noxious, someone who started off fairly well, cleaning up TCB in second flat. We saw this fight last time around. This time, they take it looking fairly well. But Elevator Music, they look to come in.
Yeah, Elevator Music, we've seen them kind of hit and miss in certain fights. I'm hoping to see them go out strong in the final game, but we do see them kind of hesitating to get involved in this fight here.
Ooh, they got to be careful. We already seen them kind of relapse, take their time, and now at this point, NY go hard. We're trying to play off the backside of that rock. Remember, this tick is just that much more aggressive. The slide through coming from on the backside. While they do find the crack and knock to follow as well, the damage is done. Thankfully, Kiani is on this high ground. It is something of a slight advantage, but the tactical doesn't quite hit here, so not quite in the best spot.
Yeah, that was not the best preparedness that they had in that fight, but they are able to get some wins here. Ooh, great torque close there. And Noxious is eliminated here, but Graham, I don't know if he's going to be able to heal fast enough. He's going to go down here. Yeah, and it's going to be down to the last team member to get the full recovery here.
I believe they'll be able to do just that, but they will be expending a lot of resources to keep themselves healthy, especially as they're forced to make their way all the way out there from the east towards Containment here. We tune in with Vizio, another team that's been struggling with some of those 50-50s, once again taking it up against Motive, who we've seen many a time before here.
Yeah, I feel like we just saw a fight in this choke point before, but, it might be deja vu. Who knows?
I mean, there's not many places on the map, so it's definitely deja vu.
Yeah, you're right. Vizio, Blitz, kind of 1 HP over here, but they are able to fully push this fight, and Motive is now out of the fight for game number 6.
Yeah, we said we wanted to see them finish off strong, but Nerf, maybe they're the ones we wanted stronger, just coming off the back end of their win. It's just up to Force here to finish the job. Playing off the body of his teammate, he finishes off Revenge Tour when it counts and keeps the dream alive. And Tyson also following the kill feed. Their journey towards second comes to an end.
Oh my god, that was incredible. He was actually 1 HP.
Yeah,
making use of every single bullet there.
Hey, I mean, props to his teammate. The knockdown shield absolutely coming in clutch. Sorry for a second here. I'm losing it. I start a fight, mind you, 5th place. They are well and competitive to potentially maybe take this away, but working with that Mirage, we'll see how it plays. But for now, Moo Monsters on fire once again. Already a drop sustained and looking for more.
Yeah, they are hard pushing this. They are not afraid of any fight. They know that they're in first place, and they need all the KP and placement points that they can get in this match to try and secure first place.
Yeah, as long as Mike and Ike still retain position, they can't quite let this one go. Well, they can let it go if that wall as a slip and slide occurs there, but I'm sure they're going to find that KP at some point. But Mike and Ike are coming from behind. If they eliminate Moo Monsters here, they secure potentially first place.
Mike and Ike are pushing in slowly, but they aren't fully aware of where everyone is. Oh, no, there it is. Now they know, and they are fully pushing into this, doing some massive damage here. They are able to isolate so many of these fights and work together as a team to eliminate all of them
Not quite.
by one.
One still left alive here. It's up to Wiz to potentially hunt this one down. They've already got the scan well and available. Cracks are found. One more shot will do it in. And one more shot will drop top GS, but that's not the one member. That's not Moo Monsters.
Yeah, that wasn't...
Oh, there it is.
Oh, and it's only down to Mini. And Mini is dodging shots left and right. Does get the shield swap, but it's not going to... I don't know if it's going to be enough taking this whole fight. Does get the 91 crack. Absolutely disgusting here. But he is taking 1v1 fights here, and he's actually able to hold his own, but he knows he needs to get out of here.
Yeah, taking himself all the way back up the zip line, even going to utilize the wrecking ball to make sure he could get towards that source of cover right back into the doorway, but I mean, there's really nowhere to go. We know for a fact those zones are choking. They're ticking as it stands. Meanwhile, on the low ground, it looks like Razor have wrapped in to wipe Mike and Ike.
Oh, this is going to be a tough call for first place, but Razor does have to fully back off to try and recover, but they are running into another team here. And it's unfortunate. He does get down, but Blake is actually okay alive, but he needs to back off, and he's a solo player for now, so he needs to play very carefully.
It's crazy for Mike and Ike and Moo Monsters, and I believe Razor as well. All three of these teams are relegated down to just kind of one member remaining, and whether they get revives off, whether they get those banners back, I mean, it is a dicey run, as you said. Everything is, my apologies, nothing currently set in stone.
Yeah, and we do see Nerf looking pretty strong here, being able to oversee a lot of this area of Kings Canyon. So they are aware of teams that are crossing and teams that were fighting over at Overlook there. And they are able to take some shots here. But Moo Monsters, I mean, Tech is back.
Oh, Tech's back.
Yeah, but now they're running as a duo, which is unfortunate. But Moo Monsters aren't completely out yet.
No, 7 squads left. The placement has already begun to stack, and Mike and Ike, 2-man as well, but they're in a fight of their own. Surprisingly, though, able to sustain. Can Mar stay alive? Wrecking Ball is expended. That's some extra speed boost to hopefully get them back towards MJ, who can provide that new castle cover. But no, they drop. Blitz finds it with the G7 Scout.
Oh, and MJ is actually pushing forward into this fight. I don't know why he didn't just go up, but he is trying to actually fight this out here. But it looks like he is going to disconnect here as soon as he realizes that his teammate went down.
Yeah, Vizio drops out from that high ground, comes through, cleans up the 1 kill there, and leaves it to just 1 member remaining for Mike and Ike. And I mean, I can't reiterate it. It's between those two teams, but for now, Nerf also fighting outside here on the low ground there, trying to break through the door. Probably will fall. Force Whip does find beams of their own as they get that knock, or just barely, not quite, but enough flesh to maybe potentially follow through. Force Whip's already dropped low. There you go. There's the knock. There's Matt Pickett. There's Rollers. Ames, the last one left alive here. He's more than healthy with his own shield. Turns is also sustained. Force Whip's looking for some kind of shield swap, some kind of thirst, but he can't do it.
Unfortunate for Nerf there. They put in such a fight, and Start a Fight has to fully disconnect here. It's only down to Aves here, and he's still getting shot. He can't get, he does get the shield swap off, but it's not enough here. So many teams that are set up in this location are just cross shooting and inadvertently helping each other out. Now we do see Elevator here working as a 2-man team, and they do hold containment, but I don't know for how long.
I'm flabbergasted at the state of this current game. Vizio, a full 3-man, currently the only full 3-man in this entire lobby with 4 squads remaining. That means we, of course, have 2 split between Elevator, netting us 5 total, and then a 2-man, probably likely that being Moo Monsters, and the 1 being Mike and Ike.
Yeah, look at Vizio's position here, which is pretty great, and they are able to hold this high ground, and they are on the very corner, on the very edge of the circle. So they're able to stay here for quite some time, and as long as no one comes up behind them, they should be fine, which we have 4 squads left, so we know where everyone is.
This is just, I mean, okay, so now all that action that was taking place in the early game of 6, this is the lull. There is no way we see anything else at this current point. Everyone has all the space in the world, all the time. Anything of a full send would be that of a throw. I mean, it's up to Vizio really to make these calls at this point. I mean, they're the only one who has a heavy hand in terms of, I mean, a full roster, a full, complete, and utter dominance of what they want to do.
Yeah, and Vizio gets all of this free loot as well, so they're doing fine. I mean, they're going to be able to go back up, ring closing pretty soon, so they're gonna be just fine. I would imagine they stay there for a while just to make sure that they oversee all the fights. Yeah, so we're not going to see a whole lot of action here until the next circle and maybe the next one close, because I can't imagine any of these teams wanting to send in first, knowing that these teams have the positioning that they do.
And I mean, we're going to talk about it just for a second. Mike and Ike and Moo Monsters are both currently in that running for the top two. Moo Monsters in the lead with 70 points here, and we haven't really been able to tally up the KP very well over the course of this game here, but we know for a fact that this positioning really begins to stack, and it could make or break a difference depending on which squad falls. Moo Monsters does have two available, kind of currently in the advantage. Mike and Ike only down to MJ there on the other side.
Oh, okay. They're opting to rotate around. That's an interesting play here. Looks like they are going for the care package as well on their way, but they don't know that Tech's team is overlooking that location as well. There's not a lot of places to go here that are protected.
Not many protected, but not many threats, you know? I mean, obviously, and you still have to be very respectful towards Tech here, and many who do control a slight bit of this high ground, but it still is a numbers disadvantage, right? And at the end of the day, a great angle from Vizio, a nice setup, is still superior.
Yeah, we do see Moo Monsters just kind of looking at everything. Oh, I don't know why they're taking shots unnecessarily, because they are a two-man squad, but maybe it's just to call attention to that team rotating. So they are keeping a lookout. I mean, they do have decent shields. They were able to make the recovery. They do see... Ooh, okay. Yeah, they are just keeping track of where everyone is at the moment. No one's fighting. No one is going to fight right now.
No one will fight this one out. Not at least until we get towards that next zone close. It's going to be the rotation down from Revenge Tourists to kind of play into that low ground, maybe into Vizio, where we start to see this one falter. There you go. They drop, and you can already see Kiani taking damage there.
Yeah, Mini having to fully bat here, but he has 4 bats. He's fine.
Well,
yeah, they're
we'll
just,
see. There's some time on the
chilling.
board.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot more. They have to wait for 2 more circles to close before it's final. So, honestly, they're probably going to take a little bit more damage. And it's. I mean, I don't know. Kick your feet up, man. Take a nap. Like, we're not going to see a lot of action right now. Just a lot of poking damage.
Oh, I was about to say, we'll see a lot of poke. Mid to long range meta. I've bragged about it all day long. That's going to blow out a lot of the sustain of these teams. And, I mean, at the end of it, I mean, Vizio's got such a lovely handle on both sides. They're expending all the resources that they can to pressure both Revenge and Moo Monsters to put themselves in the best position, even though they may not be a winner. Meanwhile, though, Moo Monsters has officially found MJ, and there's not much cover left to play, not much area to work with. That Newcastle wall is something defensible, but pressured from all angles. It's very likely that Mike and Ike here, they're going to be the first to go out.
Yeah, that is unfortunate here. Yeah, and they are eliminated in 4th place, but they held on as long as they could. I mean, it's just an unfortunate situation here.
A bit of a shame there. Moo Monsters were in the lead. Mike and Ike only 3 points behind, and now with Moo Monsters officially surviving here, it's really going to come down to see if Mike and Ike did sustain a very notable amount of KP, especially if Moo Monsters continue to survive past 3rd.
Yeah, no, Vizio does have all red shields, so they don't need to be poking any further, but they are just keeping aware of where everyone is and trying to keep them at bay. But I don't know. They are wasting their medical supplies, because now they only have 4 shield cells on Sung. So they're trying to get any angle they can, but I mean, like, they're not going to push. So it's interesting to see them try to take on actual real damage here.
Oh, for Revenge, they are just starting to get pushed back here. 30 seconds away from when this zone closes. Vizio know that they're going to have to aggress upon that high ground, so clearing out this backside is absolutely crucial. An immediate swing blitz with the beam of that Volt there. The Wrecking Ball! The Wrecking Ball hits Kiani here. A Wrecking Ball in return, bounce back, elevator music eliminated. It's going to come down to the 2v3. Mini and Tech have the high ground. We've seen a 2v3 win from the high ground earlier tonight. See if Moo Monsters can pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, Vizio looks pretty great up here, though, and they do have the numbers. But I mean, they are on lower ground here. They do need to move up. So it is possibly all in Moose Court as well. So we'll see. I mean, this is very close. And we do see this fight being pretty slow.
Important taken really low there. That's that kind of disparity that we talk about, but that's a big drop there sustained by Tech. You have to be very, very careful. I know you want to get into the fight. I know you want to throw down the mother load. You have to pay some respects. Now, Vizio looking healthy. Vizio, they keep moving up.
Yeah, Vizio's in a pretty good spot. I mean, they do need to push up and climb, but they do know that they have a lot of the number advantage here, and we do see Blitz take down Mini, and now all that's left is Tech. And he did not stand a chance in that 3v1, but amazing job by Moo for holding on so long.
Yeah, I mean, for both Moo Monsters and Mike and Ike, I mean, they had to stand quite literally the test of time and the end of that, and I mean, containment is always such a nasty way to finish on Kings Canyon, and we got to see some of the most aggressive play we got here tonight. And I think the teams themselves, I think they're done with Season 14. I think they're done with Kings Canyon at this point.
I mean, it was a really good fight all around. We did see a lot of teams kind of taking their time. It felt like a roll cue, right? Like everyone just walking up to each other. And then at the end, when everyone was pretty much, all the dominant teams were set up around the corners of the circle, it was pretty much over for any team that rolled up late.
Well, for Vizio, once again, congratulations to them on that win in Game 6. Might not have been the best day, but they finished strong. As for the rest of the lobby, though, we're going to let Yeso and T-Squared finish out the night and tell you exactly who came out on top.
Vizio with a nice win to close out the night there, but the big storyline was focused on two other teams in that top four. It was Mike and Ike and Moo Monsters. 3 points separating those squads going into that final game. And of course, we'll have the results here in a few minutes when we take a look at our Mobile One leaderboard. But those two squads were duking it out for those final few points to try and grab first place here tonight before Vizio grabbed the big win.
Yeah, and they were able to kind of wiggle away from Mike and Ike, which was really huge for them to get that placement point and get all the way to second place so they could potentially secure first place and play spoiler. Looking at the way that Vizio played, I mean, this was kind of a culmination of everybody really wanting to just go full, gun-ho, basically. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Everybody's going with the most aggressive style and composition that they could have. But once you get down to that final circle and you got 4 teams left, it's kind of a little bit of a dance, right? It's like, all right, well, we've worked so hard to get to this point over the last 10, 15 minutes. Let's slow it down and try to secure that dub for our team, have that feel-good moment. And you saw over towards the tail end, they weren't sure if Moo Monsters was a full 3-man squad or not. They were kind of taking their time, adjusting to how they were playing. They didn't have the high ground, so you don't want to just go and full set on a situation like that and get embarrassed in that team fight. But, I believe it was, maybe Mini that escaped with his life and was able to survive, which is huge. So the fact that they were able to just kind of get away and wiggle out of there to secure extra points along the way, you can't say enough about that.
Very, very huge play, and it might be our final Mobile One high performance moment here for tonight's competition. Let's take a quick look here. And it is, in fact, the escape from Mini. And this is huge because this is 8 squads left, and Mini is stuck between a rock and a hard place. This is Mike and I coming to clean up the squad. If they get this kill, it likely guarantees them the win with the way they were able to finish things off. But Mini just so slippery, able to get up the zip, throws down the ultimate to get that move speed and the perfect bounce there. In fact, back does help protect his retreat. But this is just so well played from Mini to get out of here. And this is the difference between, essentially, I would say, first and second place tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you got to feel for them because they pinched them from both sides. And at a certain point, you're like, oh, wait, I can just go up the zip here. And he just escapes perfectly. I mean, this is such a great play from Mini. And not only just the Mobile One high performance moment of this match, but of the whole day. Because this ends up securing, I think, mathematically, when it's all said and done, they should be in first place. Because picking up those 9 placement points is huge. We're not sure how many kills that they had overall. You can see Mini doesn't really have much damage. So you're assuming that they probably didn't have any kill points at this point in time. But this is almost an impossible situation to get out of. And now you're starting to see the strength of Maggie. I mean, that ult comes up right in time. You see he didn't even have it up when he was going up over towards the zip line. So a very aggressive play coming out, but a great counter play from Mini. And then the presence of mind to be able to get one of his teammates back into the game too, so he doesn't have to rat it out, is huge.
Yeah, definitely, a different kind of high performance moment than we're used to seeing. We're used to looking at stuff like Rolders with the quick scopes on the longbow, or somebody taking an aggressive bubble fight there with the PK, but just a very clutch escape there from Mini is likely the difference between them finishing in second and first place today. And we could find out right now. Let's take a look at that Mobile One leaderboard here to end the day, and they do, in fact, secure it. A 5-point margin, the difference between Moon Monsters and Mike and Ike here in the top 2.
And that's all because not only did they pick up a lot of points along the way, but just Mini, again, escaping. Can't say enough about that. Tough break for Mike and Ike during Mike and Ike week, but hey, second place, not too shabby considering it's a brand new season. We have no idea how today was going to really pan out. We knew it was going to be aggressive. Did we think it was going to be this hyper aggressive on our open day? Probably not. I think we can expect some similar stuff going on tomorrow in our pro day too. We're going to see a lot of fighting. I mean, the zone changes, the fact that it's forcing people into the circle a lot faster. You have more zone damage that's taking place, not enough time to loot. It's a smaller map. There's going to be a lot of third parties. People are testing out different compositions. We're in a scan meta where you do have a lot of recon legends. Realistically, the only thing that's going to counter a lot of this is going to be that Newcastle-Watson combo, playing over towards the end game, et cetera, et cetera. But you have to basically think about your kill points too, because if you are just sitting in the circle and you're not picking up any kill points, you need to be picking up kill points and placement points along the way. So I'm excited to see exactly how the Pro Day pans out tomorrow.
I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see how some of the best teams in North America are approaching this new meta. We know a lot of them are grinding ranked today. They're playing a lot of King's Kang in. They're, limit testing with a lot of these different characters coming into the meta. I know a lot of people were excited to see the buffs that Maggie got, kind of the hard counter ability she has to things like the Gibby and the Newcastle. So getting to see the pros kind of pick apart all of these new changes is certainly going to be fun tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it as well. Tom, it's always good to come and hang out with you, my friend. Always a pleasure to talk Apex with you. Any final thoughts before we close the show?
Oh, hey, I hope everyone's enjoying Season 14. You see a lot of mixed reviews all over the place, but one thing's for sure, if you're not good at team fighting, you're not going to succeed in Season 14. But hey, there's a lot of Apex to be played, and it's fun that it's happening kind of right in the middle of our Series E Season 5 here. So we have Season 14 and Season 5 kind of combining, and we get a chance to see what Series E is all about, which is, making adjustments throughout and establishing what the meta is going to be for Apex Legends, because these teams come out and practice, every single day, and then they go and they apply that when they get here. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Couldn't agree more with you. The run to the finish here in Season 5 is going to be very interesting and exciting, and I can't wait for it. That is going to do it for us here tonight, folks. Remember, we will have Pro Night tomorrow, and of course, some Guilty Gear and Halo action to close out the week. So don't forget to stick around throughout the rest of Mike and Ike week, get in on the giveaway, and more. For myself, T Squared, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thanks so much for joining us here tonight. We will see you again tomorrow.